Yo, it's something about them headphones, man. I don't know how you do it.
I don't have a choice.
Your neck gonna be strong as hell in the next 6 months. That's for damn sure. Alex, what's good?
Hey, oh, I didn't even realize we were live. My fault. Hey, y'all.
Don't start that shit, Alex.
I'm serious. That's my fault. I apologize.
Now, why you got the hat on this week? I know it's always different reasons.
I'm always here to support Q. In addition to, it's some stuff going on under here. Okay. Thank you very much.
I can dig it. Dana was good.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good. I see you took the irises out, but that was what, 2 weeks ago?
That was 2 weeks ago, yeah.
What you gonna do with it next?
Nothing special, just a little razzle dazzle. Nothing crazy.
Nothing special but razzle dazzle. Okay.
Yeah.
AJ, what's going on?
What's good? Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Yeah. What's this shit you were saying about culture because you had a scarf on? What's so cultural about that? You paint? What do you do?
No, I said I got this scarf from when I went one of my many trips to Paris, and I said I'm adding a little culture.
Bruh.
Okay, thanks. You bought us.
Put him in the fucking bed.
Don't start.
Sis was good.
What's up? What's up?
You all right?
I'm all right.
Cue it up though.
Yeah, you already know what the fuck going on. Y'all see the hoodie? You know what I mean? hoodie.
You sold out of the black ones already?
The blackest t-shirt. So
yeah.
Right now, the hoodies is up next with the sweatpants, just in time for Black History Month. Fuck with.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Make sure I'll share the Cash App later on in the show. B was good.
What's going on, good brother?
Bruh.
What's up, B? Guest chef. Why is your name Guest Chef?
You know why, nigga?
Hey man, I every time I see the comments, why he peeling shrimp? Why he doing this? Why he so tired?
I ain't seen no comment saying that.
Why his chest showing? Why his chest down? His arms showing? I saw that comment before too.
Don't bring my titties into this.
Hey man, no. You see how they could body shame us, Eddie?
So body shame us like crazy, son. I pull out one titty, it's all hell.
Yeah. Shit like that.
They was good.
Hello.
Man, you look, girl. It's gonna be a short show. Chris was good. Oh my god, this nigga.
Take it off
the unmute button, bro. You gotta unmute.
You hear me now?
Yes.
I said it's past my bedtime.
Oh my god, Negro, please, Bay, how you on the show with all these goddamn kids around here? Look now. Don't. All right. You know it's 1357. That's the time they wake up. So All right, man. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. This might be risky. We here. All right. Everybody good?
Mm-hmm. We good.
Let me share my screen real quick. I got a little clip for y'all. See the screen?
Yes, we see the screen.
So this is the Jubilee. Do you guys ever watch these? They have these type of conversations all the time. You should definitely subscribe. It was like Africans and versus African Americans, anti-feminists versus feminists, that one. Male feminists versus men who weren't feminists, so on and so forth. So many different topics that they discuss. But I thought this one pertained because our headline topic for today, right, Is there such thing as is toxic femininity a thing? Right. So we just want to explore it. So from superficially, people would assume if you say toxic femininity, it would have something to do with feminism, right? May be wrong, but let's attack it from that angle first. All right. So that video just to provide some context. So I wanted to ask, is modern feminism actually beneficial to relationships? So I think more specifically, the relationships between men and women. So is modern feminism actually beneficial to relationships? Dun, 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 dun,
Immediate response, no.
No, Eddie.
I have a
The
question.
ladies got the floor, and then we'll get in as needed. All
I have
right.
a question.
He said he's ready. Go ahead, Asia. My bad, Eddie. Hey, I know you got some shit. Well, I just want to let them get their shit off. Go ahead, Asia.
So, can you define modern feminism, I guess, versus ancient or antiquated feminism? Like, what's the difference? Why are you putting modern up there? Like, there's a difference.
When I watched this, and I was hoping that you guys like watch the Jubilee, because I think they put on some good stuff, especially with what we do every Wednesday. But they were just saying it has changed. The terminology they use specifically is new wave feminism.
Oh.
So if somebody could use your smartphone to be smart for once and Google new wave feminism, let's see what that might stand for. Alex is good at using her smartphone.
So I actually just looked at it, and it's basically saying that modern feminism is both genders having equal rights. So if you want to tie that to a relationship, you're just saying that you're equal with your partner, I guess. Is that what you're kind of leaning towards?
So yeah, maybe intimate relationships, but also just between men and women. Like, is it beneficial or is it more divisive now? Because what you also hear from new wave feminism, I don't know if that definition is so accurate based on what I've seen. New wave feminism feels like and looks like, when I'm watching different podcasts and things like Jubilee, that women are looking for equality of outcome and not opportunity. So now there's complaints that women can't achieve the same things, like for instance in sports, and women should be able to get paid the same as the NBA players, right? That's a big one, right? But you can't equal outcomes now. But you don't control the outcome, but you should be provided an opportunity. So that's what I've kind of been seeing from new wave feminism.
So me being smart and using my smartphone, as you just said, I looked up the definition of modern feminism, because that's what's on the ticker tape. It says, like Dana said, all genders having equal rights and opportunities. It's about respecting diverse women's experiences, identities, knowledge, and strengths, and empowering all women to realize their full rights. So to answer your question, is it beneficial to relationships? Absolutely. The man and female you're talking about. I think you wanted to go that route, correct? Either way, beneficial. It's been, yes, I believe it is. Having a woman, feeling equal and being treated as equal, and respecting her experiences, how could that be a negative when you're respecting someone's individualism? That doesn't mean that they can't be a part of a collective. It just means they're bringing their strengths to the collective to make the unit even stronger. So I think it is definitely beneficial.
But women can't do what men can do. So if we start wanting to be that equal, how we're not as strong, we're not as just like physically. So then they're gonna expect us to do what men can do. Like, I don't.
But how does that feed into the relationship? So not saying that there can't be responsibilities in the home. Like, if you feel like you can cook better, then he may feel like he can cook better than you as the woman. Let him cook. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all about not necessarily saying them being stronger than us. I wasn't taking it from that perspective. I was talking for relationships.
From the little clip as well, it looks like women are fighting for equality across the board. There can't be, nobody wants to watch women's basketball, women's football, women's anything. Like, just really, like, no one's checking for a lot of.
I actually beg to differ on that one.
I'm not checking for it. And I love competitive sports and stuff like that. I don't check for it, you know. I'm just
Back
saying.
was saying though about the outcome and the opportunities. So you don't think that we should have equal outcome and equal opportunity when it comes to men?
I'm saying men are expected to do sometimes do a lot more than women when it comes to infrastructure, like things like that. Women are not built like that. And I don't want to do that stuff. I don't want to pour concrete. I don't want to climb up tall ladders and fix cable lines. Like that's
I
not
thought we were
something.
talking in regards to like relationships. Like, how do you translate that into relationships per
I'm
se?
going
So,
off the
so
snippet.
yeah.
I'm
So
going
if
off.
my question, see, because I think the conversation is going well. If we only want to focus on intimate relationships, we can do that. But I think the platonic, just overall relationships between men and women. So if you just look at overall relationship, what Sissy said saying would pertain.
I think if we're just in reference to the question in general, I think modern feminism is beneficial because yes, there are different things. I do believe in gender roles personally, but I definitely feel like modern feminism allows the opportunity for a woman to be able to express and have her thoughts, feelings, and wants and needs considered, right? So it's no longer just the dictatorship. And I know in previous conversations when we've had this, you say it's not a partnership. I'm coming to you for this. I'm coming to you for that. But it's also, it allows for conversation between said man and woman, right? It allows for her to share her opinion and give her input. It's not just the man going ahead and making the decision, taking all the burden on his own, right? He's looking to his partner for counsel. I think outside of relationships, when we speak about it on a broader spectrum, it is the social opportunity, it is political, it goes into a variety of different buckets. Now, is it saying that men are physically stronger than us? Yes, when we speak about laboring jobs such as pouring concrete, do we not want, are they stronger than us in doing it? Yes, but can we also do so? Yes, we can. They have a physical advantage, but that doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to do so, right? So I think when I think about it in a broader spectrum, it's allowing women to have a seat at the table that we didn't previously have. It's allowing us to be in those boardrooms. It's allowing us to be in these manager and these um, CEO positions. It's allowing us to go ahead and have a seat in politics. So it's not all being made by the guise of a man trying to make laws and regulations for women. That when I think of feminism, that is what I think about. I think about it opening the conversation, allowing a seat at the table for women to be able to provide their input.
In 2022, where are we fighting for a seat at the table? If me and a man apply for a job and I get the job, I'm more than likely gonna get paid what I'm due in 2022. Dana, you made a face, so I'm wondering where do women not have a seat at the table? That's what I'm trying. I just don't know.
Well, I made a face because I was confused because I don't know where why you think that if you were competing for a position with a man that you would automatically get the same pay as he would, because there are a lot of statistics that are surrounded around that very fact that that's just not the case. Women in general are paid less. Black women are paid even less than white women. It's not a matter of how anyone feels. Like there's numbers and there's statistics behind this, but that's kind of where my what?
Hmm.
What'd you just say? Face came from.
Well, I'm saying from my experience being
Yeah.
in certain roles, you can see what people are getting paid.
Mhm.
So I just don't see
You work for
the
the government?
I don't see the differential treatment in between men and women. That's all I'm saying.
I think to Sis's point when she was talking about where, just giving an example, I think about politics. I think about in the last year of 2022 when they were making regulations about abortion laws, right? Yes, there were a few women at the table, but they were not enough. For years, men have been making decisions on women's bodies and their experiences. They don't have a period, they don't carry the child, they don't do any of those things, yet the decision has been made in their hands, right? And I don't think that when we look about birth control and we look at those things, it's always coming from the male perspective, right? No, let's even this playing field right here in this conversation. You need women at the table to make decisions. When it comes to Black people, you need Black people in certain seats to be able to be representatives to speak on the experiences of Black people, which is why it's important to have representation across the board. Back to your point and Dana's point about like the pay gap, I think it just really depends on certain fields, but in by and large, at least the last that I read, there is a huge pay gap between men and women. And that could be for a variety of different things. In a labor job, I could maybe sort of kind of understand, but if we're just going based upon our degrees and our experience, there are situations where men automatically are given higher pay. And it could be because they say that women, we don't ask. Could be. Variety of different reasons, but that is what is currently happening. I think there's been a huge shift in it. We're not all the way on the same playing field, but I think that we're getting there.
What are the statistics these days? What are they?
I'm gonna have to pull that up, sis.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm sorry. Those
No, you're fine. You're fine.
In terms of the pay gap, there has been several debunks of the pay gap because the reasons of why the pay gap exists aren't just predicated. This is the debunking, aren't predicated on the gender of the person. It's availability. It's part-time work. It is the jobs that are chosen, which is the reason why there can be an illusion of a pay gap. That's what I just named a few points, but it's deeper than that. I think actually Eddie
So I just looked it up. I just looked it up real quick on my smartphone. So I'm being smart tonight. As of the last census, it is stating that overall, and we know that there's outliers, of course, but women in the U.S. are paid 77 cents for every dollar paid to man. That's the pay gap.
Does it
wider for women of color?
Just question, does it reference the jobs or just saying average money versus average money?
It's just saying on average. So again, there's different variables in there. That's why they're saying overall and on average, using certain words on purpose. You have to, because again, there's not going to be many.
I'm just asking, what does it say in that particular article?
It says no.
What I'm saying is it saying part-time workers? Is it saying things
no? I didn't dig that deep into it. I wanted to give the stat, and then I can go down into the article itself to pull out part-time, full-time, agricultural versus tech. I was just giving the overall sentiment, and then they're going to give, but I didn't know if you wanted to get that deep into it on the podcast right now. But I wanted to give you that current stat from the last Census Bureau stats.
Mm-hmm. And so that specifically is what they were debunking, and they start breaking it down as to why it looks like women get paid less. Go ahead, Q.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak on some of that. So my answer is going to be no. And the reason I'm saying no on that is because some of the facts that you guys are making or trying to speak on, I know from experience are not accurate. Like first, if you're just talking outside, so somebody spoke to relationships. So let me speak on that part first. Relationship and equality. If you don't have a hierarchy within your household is out of order. So there should never be like that level of equality. Now somebody spoke to being heard or having input and things like that. Communication, I think those things are important. But when you're talking about we are the same, that doesn't, like, your whole household is out of order at that point. If you and your husband or whoever, are at the same level, like y'all equal, that's just bottom line, your shit is out of order. When it comes to work or, I think Sis was speaking about sports. If they had a women's league NFL, it would not get as many ratings as the actual NFL, if we could be completely honest. Ain't nobody sitting around and watch that shit. When it comes to work, I know a lot of you guys are like, well, women get paid less, this, that, and the third. I'm not able to speak too much to politics, but I do know from being in the construction industry, a woman is not going to do the same things as a man task for task, even if she does go for the same position. He's going to do more than her. Therefore, you are going to see him make more money than her. Same job, but those descriptions are going to be modified, or the actual task within the job description are going to be modified to cater to the woman a little bit more. And that's the part where I can speak from experience. I have went for positions in the past, same as my male counterparts. And then you see that 50 cent or more pay gap. But he, at the end of the day, he would have to do way more than me. So to Sis's point, I'm getting paid what's due to me at that point, not the overall whatever he's making, I'm making the same thing. So I think that's kind of functioning in a selfish manner to be like, we're supposed to have the same, you're not going to work at the same level. And I don't even think that's happening in places like fucking Stop and Shop where they're stocking shelves. I think a lot of the guys are pulling a lot of those heavy boxes, and the women are not going to have to pull, even she is pulling boxes. She's not pulling the same amount of boxes as him, the nigga who's walking around with the back brace. So
I want to address a couple of different points that Q made. So I'm gonna start with the first one first, the sports piece. I think a lot of that's based in sexism, because really no one really wants to see women get banged up the way in NFL male football players get banged up. Nobody wants to see that. And I think they feel that it's not, oh my God, she can't take her. Is she okay? And she's got to bear children. We have to keep their bodies safe. Mm-hmm. The other point I want to make real quick, Shawnees. The other point I want to make too, let's make all things even. What happened?
It's just a boxing bell.
One thing. So the technical. So we are leaving the labor market, the physical blue collar labor market. We're more going into an technical country. And so we're talking about the labor gap or the wage gap at the labor market. It's more technical with the IT, the desk office jobs, right? Sitting at the desk. And all things constant, my male counterpart is doesn't have to do more work than me, right? We can both be on the same phone calls, 10 phone calls a day. We can both talk for an hour. We can both write notes. We can both write code. We can both program computers. So that's where it's apples to apples, to where the wage gap is a big deal. And that's where it's more prevalent, because we are literally on a level playing field with that. And because the job market is going more technical. And I say technical, I mean like I said, desk office jobs, more so farming.
Right. And I don't disagree with that. But as far as this country running, people are doing labor.
They have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Overall, I'm speaking like the bigger picture, most jobs.
Shawnee's had a point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you said what I was going to say very well, Asia, actually, when it comes to just labor jobs and things of that nature. I think it's fair that if you're doing more work, you should get paid more. And we know that women cannot do the same as men. And I mean, even same thing when it comes to sports. Unfortunately, the men, it's more exciting, unless it's like gymnastics or something like that. So what they're able to do becomes more interesting. But when it comes to other things, I do think we do need to have a place to sit at the table, as Alex said, when we're making decisions on women's bodies, women's rights, things that affect women, which is pretty much everything that affects us. We should be able to have a say-so in what happens. And even when it comes into the relationship, yes, I agree that there is a hierarchy, but there needs to be, that's the reason why you're together with a man and a woman, because a woman has some different perspective than a man does. And with that said, I think there is a place for feminism. I think that's the reason why you're allowing us to work now, because we realize that it's beneficial to everyone in the household to have females working versus us just staying home and cooking dinner. So I think it's important for us to be able to say, yes, modern feminism is beneficial to.
So you think it's like a man and woman are equal, or should be equal, to the point of, because that's how I'm understanding modern feminism.
I don't think it should be equal per se, but I do think there should be some input from a woman.
I agree.
By respecting her experiences and her strengths. Like that was a part of the definition too. And I think that all goes into a healthy relationship, healthy unit.
Yeah.
Can I just say that I love watching NFL football players, watching those big, strong, buff men, like running each other and slaying each other. Like, oh my, and those very tight outfits, like it
All
does
right.
That's
something
the real
to
reason
me.
why you're watching Asia.
That's why I started
you're
watching
justifying
it.
them.
When it's to God, that's why I started watching it like 10 plus
Walking
years
the truth,
ago.
Asia.
I
Asia,
started
you're
watching them booties and
I
them
think the
legs
scarf
and them
is
arms
choking
and
you.
them backs. And
So
then I got into it.
so what if you guys agree with Q's last point, that wouldn't be the modern new wave feminism that I've been researching. So for instance, some of the aspects of that are like the sexual liberation, and that sort of whore culture. That wasn't that's new wave feminism. That wouldn't be what they were fighting for back in the day. Secondly, what Chris was stating was um guaranteeing the outcome of the opportunity, right? So new wave is saying that we should get the same outcomes as men just because we're there and we're trying to do it. I agree with equal opportunity, but outcomes can't be guaranteed. So those two things are more new wave than as opposed to what you guys kind of set up here.
And that's very different than him, because that's like you just get a prize for showing up, and I don't believe in that. If that's what new wave, I just say a new wave feminism or new age feminism is, then yeah, that's just like, everybody get a trophy just for being there, and I don't agree with that. I know for a fact I was addressing modern feminism definition, but the new wave, I think that that's detrimental to society, period, because I think it is a disservice to mankind, human being, male or female. Just showing up and getting an award just because you decided to show up, you didn't do anything. Absolutely not. That's reading mediocrity.
I think we are doing it though, and that's why we are fighting for the same outcome as men. I think we all want a seat at the table, and we all want the opportunity to, take away male and female. We all want the opportunity to do something. We all want a certain outcome. And it doesn't feel good to sit next to a person, male or female, knowing that you did the same thing or can do better and you don't get the same outcome as them.
But why is
Hey, you can't hold on one second, Q. You can't watch the show and be on the show because it'll feedback. Go ahead, Q. Sorry.
I was gonna say why to Chris, why is it so important though? Because like I know we're having this conversation, but why is it so important for us to be in competition?
For me personally, it's not, I don't think of it as a competition. I think of it as, if I'm doing my due diligence and I'm progressing myself and I get a seat at the table, why are you looking at the person next to me when I know for a fact I'm confident and I can do this, and you're offering them a couple of cents more, or you're giving them the opportunity instead of giving it to me?
But that sounds to me like, okay, so it's like, over the years you work and you really put your work ethic out there. At that point, you're not watching nobody else's pockets. When you negotiate your salary, that's based on you.
Yeah, but I'm saying when it's presented and I do see their pocket, like I'm not focused on them. But then when I don't get that outcome, and you do get a look at what they did offer that person, or you see who got it, now you're sitting there like, okay, like what really happened?
That kind of feels like that Monique shit with Netflix though. I don't like that.
I saw come out. I follow this page called Salary Transparency, and I think it's the state of New York and maybe California, but they're now moving to employers have to show what they're offering for the jobs because of the pay discrepancies
I saw
people
that.
in education. So maybe we'll see a change in that.
Do you think there's an agenda there? Because it's giving.
I mean, for me, when I think about it, I'm not worried about somebody else's, but I'm worried about, don't waste my time. I filled out this application. You're asking me what my expectations are. I've gone through all these changes, and actually, we can't afford to give you that. Don't waste my time. Be transparent with me so that I can be transparent with you and figure out if this is appropriate for me. That's how I look at it.
Don't they ask you how much you want to get paid when you do an application?
Yes, but some employers will go ahead and have you continue on through the process, and then afterwards they will say, well, this is actually how much we're offering.
That's very true. I've done it before. That's how I know.
Yeah, that's called a twist, though. At that point, you got options.
Yeah.
So you don't think that Monique had the right to talk about the pay gap that happened?
I think
No, I don't think so.
Not at the time.
I
One at
think
a time. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dana. Go ahead, Dana.
sorry, I think the situation with Monique is different because she was attempting to command the salary of people that she's not as good at. It had nothing, in my opinion, it had nothing to do with I'm being untreated or treated unfairly because I'm a woman or because I'm a black woman. You're just not that funny. You're just not that fucking good. So you can't command that salary or that type of a contract with a giant like Netflix, and you can't bring in the subscribers or the viewership that comedians were bringing in. So I feel like in every other area, if you're doing the same work or if you can command the same type of salary because of your skill set, then that's a different conversation. Monique, she's not funny.
Oh, but no, that's your opinion though. So when they
apparently
no, let me land though. Let me land.
Okay.
When they dealt with her with that, it had nothing to do with her talent. It had to do with the numbers that she was pulling at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so she was. That's your opinion.
No, I think we're saying the same thing.
No, we're not.
The numbers that she was pulling, they weren't the same numbers that the other people that she was comparing herself to were pulling, right?
No, but you can be really funny, but not be social media funny.
Oh, right? Q, so you're saying her talent wasn't reflected in those numbers?
They were.
She was relevant at the time.
Yeah, it's her relevancy. They were saying they weren't sure if they gave her that deal on that platform that she could pull the kind of numbers that somebody who may have been considered mediocre to the masses, but had the number backing. So it had nothing to do with her talent.
But if you're negotiating a contract,
I wanted to be clear on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But if you're negotiating the contract, what do you? If I'm Netflix and I'm negotiating the contract with you, the comedian, what do I have to go off of if not numbers, stats, like what's
right? They have the right to go there. I'm just saying, you're saying she's not that funny. That's your opinion. Comedy is an art. So there's people who think Kevin Hart is not funny. Look, but his bank account. So that's just your opinion.
That is my opinion. Monique is not funny.
So regarding Monique's pay, quick question.
But she was concerned with what other people
had
going on, and that's what I was going to say. I'm making, it sounds like what a lot of women feel when it comes to being in a competitive workforce is, what is this guy over here making? That's where I was making the comparison.
But usually the problem is that we're doing the same exact job, and the job description is the same, and the guy that is white gets a higher salary than the person that is black and is a female. I think that is what the problem is. If we're doing the same exact work, we should get the same exact pay. You should not just automatically, and it happens to black men too. The white men get paid first, and they get paid the most for doing exactly the same thing. Yeah. And then they're the ones who get paid next, and then it's the white woman, and us black women are last on the pay scale for doing the same exact job.
And you don't think that happens because we accept it?
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's the reason why there is feminism coming into place now, because we're saying, hey, we don't like that is happening. We want the same exact pay as a white person who's doing the same exact job.
That sounds like racism. That's we're talking about feminism. That sounds like
feminism.
Bigotry.
You just knew your worth. Like, what do? You just wait around for a group of women to advocate and walk into a room and say something on your behalf. Like, that's the part where I'm probably getting stuck on.
Racism is a huge part of it too. When I think of feminism initially as a whole, I think society thinks white women, but then there's also the subcategory of black women, and then Hispanic women, or just minority women in general, right? So some of the things that the white women are fighting for may be very much the same things that we are, but we also have an additional layer. Not only am I a woman, but I'm a black woman, or I'm a Hispanic woman, or I'm an Asian woman, right? We have that additional piece of layer. I think, as Sharnice was saying, that is why feminism is important, and we're seeing a surge in it, because we're like, you know what, we don't like that anymore. So now I'm going to speak up. I'm going to say something. And I think that's where this whole movement as a whole is gaining that traction, right? Feminism, what goes on, what white women do is they're going to do what they do, right? But we also have that sub layer, just like with black men, right? You are a man, but then you are also a black man. So add that on there, right? So there's yes. So there's so many different things to add onto it. Racism plays a part, right? And then there's also sexism to it.
So when you say we don't like it and we are fighting, who is the black person representative fighting for the black women by name?
So that's why I think
it's not the white women. I think that's a totally separate movement.
Yeah.
White women, they don't give a
They don't care about us.
because they still have the privilege. They'll still get 10 jobs before the black woman. So that's a separate movement, separate topic. I
think it was misconstrued in what some of y'all are saying.
Hold on, Eddie.
Oh, I still can't go.
He can't stay quiet. He can't help
Been
himself.
quiet for like 30 goddamn minutes.
We were backstage last week, Eddie. Sorry.
For a whole hour and a half. We were
Let me
backstage.
just jump in real quick if I can. I think I hear what you're saying, Q, and I do agree that we as individuals need to advocate for ourselves and to demand the type of compensation that we think that we're due. But I think that the larger picture and what some of the other ladies are saying is that we shouldn't have to advocate. Like the standard should just be that we're initially offered the equal pay for doing equal work without having to go the extra mile to make sure that we are compensated fairly, not even based off of our skill set that may even exceed what the compensation is initially being offered, but just at a bare minimum level, we should start at equal pay for the same job description, same resume, yada, yada, yada. And then go from there. But we shouldn't have to fight so hard to just have what everyone else is having.
But would that be occupation specific at that point?
It can be. I think it can be. Because I understand the point that you were making earlier with regard to sports or more labor intensive occupations. I think that it gets a little gray there. It can get a little gray there, but like Asia was saying before, if we're sitting at a desk and I have the same level of education or experience or skill set as the person sitting next to me who happens to be a male or a white woman or whomever, that's not I won't say white woman because
that's what I'm saying. In this day and age, he won't be sitting next to me long making the same thing. Something's gonna change, Especially if I know.
Why do I have to fight so hard for that? Why can't that just be normal?
I don't think it's happening in 2022. That's
I
what
feel
I'm
like
saying.
the workforce as it
see it.
stands, it just looks like as long as you're palatable and you can appeal to the masses, then you'll get the job or you'll be able to get the opportunity, regardless of skill set, regardless of talent.
Chris, what do you think about the fact that like the people who are successful, when they do these statistics, are disagreeable largely? Like in the corporate setting, like disagreeableness allows you to rise.
Do I think that it does allow you to rise?
Well, it does statistically, right? Being disagreeable, challenging, right? Making change, so on and so forth, allows you to kind of climb that corporate ladder.
I don't agree with that at all, actually. I think that you have to get along with and follow the flow in order to climb the corporate ladder. As soon as you say something contrary to what they want, or if it doesn't look good, or you start fighting something, then that's the quickest way to keep you stagnant at a job.
As a black woman, as a black woman, though, as a man, you're just treated differently, and I think that's why they can be disagreeable successfully. Us, on the other hand, they want to call us the angry black woman immediately.
Well, I disagree with y'all 100%. I think if you have the work ethic to back you, and you've been putting your work in, they're not fucking with you like that. When you become an asset to a company, they're not fucking with you like that. But if you go along to get along, you become the most disrespected, and that's where you will remain stagnant, from my observation. Because it's like, what, you're a pushover at that point. You're a fucking doormat.
If you are an asset and you're not say easy to get along with, but if you are a joy to work with. So, for example, bring Monique back into this, right? Monique got that black eye years ago when she had that label of being difficult to work with. Nobody wants to work with someone, period, that's difficult to work with. Nobody. You can be the best at what you do, but you won't get many places. You can go higher if you're not difficult to be around and work with.
Asia, how'd she get called into the room for the conversation if that was the reality? It was for numbers.
But she was blackballed though. Like when that whole thing with Precious happened, she got blackballed because she was being labeled difficult to work with. And that's when her relevancy fell off. And that's why she couldn't command as much for the Netflix thing. And that's why she started, screaming and having the squeaky wheel get the most attention, because she started raising the flag.
But that was part of the narrative. Netflix wouldn't, to your point, Netflix was like, she's difficult to work with, there would have been no Netflix meeting for her to speak on platforms like Breakfast Club.
But before Netflix, she was gone for like 5+ years though.
I don't disagree with that, but you're saying she was difficult to work with and got that reputation. They wouldn't have had her in no fucking meeting.
Well, no, but they brought her in for a meeting because they realized she's funny, but she wasn't paid as much because she wasn't as likable, right? Because her relevancy had waned during that time. Netflix, I don't think Netflix had a dog in that fight. They were just saying, listen, we can't pull the numbers with her as much. We're going to pay her this much. We know she's funny. We appreciate and acknowledge her comedic skill set. We saw her on Queens of Comedy. We know she's funny, and we're going to bring her on because they were doing this whole comedian thing. But I think, though, if she would have been more relevant than what she was before Netflix knocked on her door, she could have commanded more money, is all I'm saying. And then when 50 Cent got involved, and then he brought her in. But then that whole thing with DL Hughley, and she made another stink all over again. That reputation came back up again, and she started getting a little bit of a black eye, but 50 Cent still got her back a little bit. But she's... Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to lose sight of it, though, because we're saying now she was not easy to work with, but what Hamp was speaking to was challenging and not being agreeable, not saying I don't think he said difficult to work with, like nobody wants to fuck with you, you got a bad attitude.
He said disagreeable. He said the word, this word. What was this word you used, Hamp? Disagreeable. He did say disagreeable. So disagreeable to me, disagreeable, hard to work with, they're synonymous to me. I don't want to split hairs though, but that was my interpretation of it. Disagreeable.
It's more of a competitive nature. So I'm disagreeable. And I've been pretty successful at our company. I'm pretty high up, and I've been able to climb that ladder by being the way I am, using an anecdotal experience.
I think I agree with what Sis was saying, though. I think as Black women, period, right? You have women, we are perceived to be emotional, we're perceived to be a numerous amount of things. Then add on us being Black women, right? When we do speak up and we do say stuff, we have to tread a very, very thin line to not be labeled the angry Black woman, right? It's oftentimes harder for us to go ahead and to move into those spaces while eliminating the stereotypes that come along with it. If we disagree, like, have you all ever heard of the term white woman tears before? Okay, white woman tears is a real thing, right? If a Black woman, we don't even have to physically cry, but we can just, that doesn't make any sense or whatever, just something like that. And it's just like being aggressive. Whoa, I know, we have to tread a very, very, very thin line. I think for us as Black women in the workspace, period, and I'll just speak for myself, like, there are moments where I know I am right. I literally had a situation today, and I had to let me get in my role because I know this clinician that I'm working with has an issue, and not only me being a woman, but being a Black woman. And he was very disrespectful to our Black female CEO, right? And you would think that he would have some sense. But for her, she has to move strategically when she does choose to respond to things, right? To protect that image. For myself also, I have to move strategically. I have to. because there's already this perception, and it's not my responsibility to care for everyone else, but I have to move in a certain sense of decorum. I think as Black people, period, and we've had this conversation, as we move up, there's no room for us to mess around. There isn't, period. We are canceled. We are this. We don't have the luxury to do what white people do, and that's period. And then add on being a woman.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm gonna wrap this, but I need to let B and guest chef get their 2 cents. Go ahead. No, who's longer winded? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yes, Jeff. He's more long winded.
All right. Go ahead, Eddie.
Thanks, Asia. But now, it's great to hear all the differentiating opinions. But I think one thing that's missing is feminism almost exclusively is a white woman's movement. I think Black women attach themselves to that movement unknowingly, and they've abused y'all ever since. How have they done so? Like feminism has largely been used for the destruction of the Black nuclear family, right? Programs like anything having to do with housing or getting food or what have you had to be attached with the Black man not being in the house, right? You could thank feminism for that, right? The founder of feminism, Gloria Steinem, was a CIA agent. If we know anything about the CIA, they have killed and murdered a lot of leaders, including Black women, throughout the inception of their history, right? You also got to consider any type of feminism, right? Modern, neo, whatever. All of that shit does not, and y'all have said it in different ways, benefit Black women in particular, benefit the Black community at all, right? We discussed the pay gap, as Ham said, that's been demystified in many ways because a lot of women do not accept some of the very difficult jobs that almost exclusively have men, right? As Q mentioned earlier, the system or what we live on that has to run is run by engineers. Engineering is almost 99% men. Women don't want to take on those roles, right? So if you have almost exclusively one demographic, it's going to come out like, yeah, it looks like women aren't getting paid equally. It's like, no, women aren't showing up to those jobs. On top of that, and it's not your fault, y'all have babies, right? You naturally are taking away more time from work, right? So it's not a matter of the pay gap being a thing in regards to being paid less. Women are not taking on severely hardcore jobs like offshore drilling. There's exclusively no women doing that. Fishing in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, women are not doing that shit, right? And those guys have extremely hardcore insurance policies, but they're also getting paid 100, 150,000, but they can also lose their lives at any point in time, right? So it's not a matter of looking at the pay gap from a, oh, this is unfair perspective. Y'all are not applying for that jobs and y'all not going to apply for those jobs, right? And to the last point, I'm trying to be brief. To the last point in regards to feminism, I think it largely, from my own anecdotal experience, it has done absolutely nothing but tear up relations between Black men and Black women. Because there's certain shit that almost exclusively, just based on my own knowledge, are like white women's talking points. And that's what feminism is, a white woman's gripe against a white man that Black women use in turn with Black men. Has nothing to do with our culture, how we talk to each other, or how we've, progressed over time. And it's just like, yo, this feminism shit, like I almost exclusively, if you tell me you're a feminism as a Black woman, I'm not dating you because you accept a psychology and an ideology that doesn't benefit us. It doesn't allow me to love you. It doesn't allow you to be free of a European mindset and love me in return. So, yeah, that's what I'll say in regards to feminism.
What's up?
Can you give an example, Eddie, of what you the last talking point?
I didn't let the guys interrupt you guys. It's B's turn.
That was conversation. Mute myself.
So one of the questions I had is Alice answered one question. One of the questions I had is, how do you all know y'all are getting paid less than your counterparts? But Alex answered that question when she brought up about New York and the study that was done there. So I guess I'll take that. But to my women on the show, is my thing would be, if you believe you aren't getting paid what you're worth, are y'all going to HR? Are y'all going to your boss? Are y'all saying, hey, I'm not getting paid my worth? Because I know for me, I negotiate my pay, and tomorrow I'm going to negotiate some more pay for other reasons. So I was just curious as to know, do y'all go to these people to be like, hey, I have this educational background. I have this certificate. I'm always here on time. Blah blah blah. I have the skill sets. Are you willing to pay me this amount? Because I've noticed when I've hired people and when I've interviewed people, women in particular would just accept whatever. I mean, there's a few who will negotiate it, but a lot of them will just accept whatever. So that was my main question to Chris, as well as all the other women on the show. Are y'all going to your bosses in HR requesting what you want in terms of pay? And you still aren't getting it. Well, damn.
I mean, I got my raise. It wasn't without a fight. And I found out by way of people telling me and being cool with people in HR and looking at things. And I was just like, you know what? And then figuring out, oh, I got a message and you don't, and you making this amount of money.
Are you
and
still there?
The field. I mean, I ended up getting my money, but I had to speak up. But fortunately for me, my boss was, once we were having the conversation, he was a huge advocate in helping me to get my pay increase.
Okay, so yeah, they saying yeah, B, and they saying either get it or don't get it. Do you have any other points you want to hit, B?
No, sir.
God damn, nigga.
Put him in the fucking bedroom. Get him out of here. Come on.
They done said. Okay. Dana, I didn't want to cut you off, but I just wanted to make sure the guys, because they sat patiently, kind of.
Respect.
So
Respect.
I just wanted to get them in. Shout out to Eddie. The boys showing you mad love in the comments, Eddie. They ain't sent $1 yet, but hey, they talking, so you can look. All right, so Dana, this might pertain a little bit.
Okay.
Is feminism keeping women single? Is feminism?
Hear that evil laugh?
Yeah, that was an evil.
You know the answer to that.
Is feminism keeping women single? All right, I'm gonna reverse this just a bit. I need a succinct answer from B and Eddie. B, is feminism keeping women single? And then we'll let the ladies do their thing.
Yes.
That was succinct.
Bruh.
All right, give me one reason why, B.
So feminism, when I look at that, when you talk about equality and women want to be equal with men, I can't see to where in a relationship a woman would be equal to a man. Q hit on a great point when she talked about hierarchy. And if that is supposed to be the man, then I can't see to how, if the man's supposed to be the hierarchy and the woman would want to be equal to the man, I would assume that would cause chaos, in the relationship. I personally wouldn't want to be with a woman who would want to be equal to me, in terms of a relationship, but that's just me. So yes, that's what I would say. I listen to a lot of Andrew Tate and Anton Daniels, and from a lot of women they have on their show, a lot of their feminist points is what tends to keep them single. Once Andrew Tate or Anton Daniels will break it all down. So I do believe that is what's keeping them single, or could be playing a part in it.
Okay, Eddie.
Absolutely. A woman who's single, particularly in a part of her life where she may have missed opportunities or her arrogance didn't allow her to connect with a man because, whatever social media or his shoes were whack or this and that or whatever. It's just like you get to a certain page in life. It's just like, why is it that these women over here are successful in their choices of men, right? And their view of accountability and then their view of submission, etc. And you're not, right? So it's like, what is it about your decision making that has kept you in that space? And also, do you ever check your girlfriend circle? A lot of toxic ass girlfriend circles buffer and support a lot of bullshit that women do in regards to relations with men, and it keeps your ass profoundly single. And sometimes you will know better, but it's just like, nah, my girl said it. It must be true. Like, nah, girl, we need to stay band together. I'm just like, her ass is just keeping you around because you're all she's got.
Yeah. So one of the parts is the sexual liberation, but often what happens is women are taking on some of the traits that we have that they've looked down upon men on, like being promiscuous, right? Dating multiple people at once, right? Not being honest, having options, right? Those things that women say are negative in the new wave feminism, those things are now championed for women to do, right? So now if you're with a man but you're willing to have sex, right, as men are willing to have sex, what else does he need you for? Why is he going to value you? So now he's getting everything he wants from you pretty easily, because feminism is saying you should move this way. It's, well, not that you should, but it's okay to move this way, right? Just in terms of addressing new wave feminism specifically. If I can get the box, why do I need to date you? Why do I need to marry you? Right? And so women are giving it up at phenomenal rates now. Why get married when I have all these options?
Well, that part right there is like you being accountable. Your word, Eddie. That's you being accountable, because if you're gonna be going, out here and fucking everything, that living and walking in your truth, I'm gonna stand on that all day, right? But then you also, on the flip side of that, want to be seen with this certain level of value. That shit don't go together. Just own the fact that you have moved this certain way, and that's what that should look like in the end. That's your shit. That's your truth. Just walk in it.
No doubt. Go ahead, Dana. What you think?
I have a couple of thoughts that come to mind. The first is in general, but also specific to the question. I don't understand why there's this negative connotation around feminism, period. Because I don't think that, like, when I think of myself as a feminist, I don't think that I'm trying to be a man. I'm trying to do the things that men do, particularly in a relationship, and as pertains to this question. I'm not trying to be the head of the house. I'm not trying to be equal even. As Alex said earlier, I also believe in gender roles in the house, in a relationship, and things like that. But along those lines, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't be considered and I shouldn't have a voice. I shouldn't be consulted with in my partnership, in my relationship. And for me, that's what feminism is. It's allowing us to have a voice, to be considered, and to have a true partnership, but not necessarily trying to do what you do and you trying to do what I'm doing. Like, nobody's trying to take over your role or reverse roles or anything like that. We just don't want to be told to sit down and shut up anymore.
Okay, so you consider yourself a feminist?
I do, in the classic definition of it. Again, not the modern or new wave definitions that were brought to the floor this evening, but as it pertains to women having opportunity, the same opportunities as men do, yeah, I support that, at least. And again, to what some of the other ladies were saying before about the decisions that are made for us, for our bodies and things of that nature, I definitely, would advocate for us as women, black, white, or purple, to be able to make decisions about what happens to our own bodies and what we choose to do with them. I don't think that should be left up to anybody else. No.
Yes or no? Should men have a seat at that table?
No.
Wow.
Okay. So
Can I
no
interject on that?
equality. So only one side of the equality. Okay. Got it. Go ahead, Chef Eddie.
So what you're asking for is not necessarily feminism, and probably shouldn't claim it. What you're asking for is an emotionally intelligent man. What you're asking for is a man that's respectful. What you're asking for is a man that lays a platform for you to have a voice. I don't think any of that is under the confines of feminism. I think a lot of women accept feminism and say they're feminists just because it's something cool and other women are doing it. Right? So what you're asking for and what you're seeking is just a man that has some sort of decency about him. Individually, how you look at things, is he's prayed up, religious, all those other things, cool. But it's largely, you just want a man that has respect for himself and respect for you and honors that. I don't think feminism has anything to do with that. It just sounds cool.
Well, I understand why you would say that, and I agree with what you're saying. I don't go around having conversation or wearing a feminist badge of honor or anything like that. But because we're talking about it on this particular platform, I side with one as opposed to the other, but not. I'm not extreme in any by any stretch of the imagination. But what you're saying is accurate. I do want
Oh, hold
somebody
on, Eddie.
emotionally intelligent and respects me and my contributions to the relationship or to our household or our family. So be it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to agree with Dana. Like, feminism is a thing, at least for me, in the workforce. And when it comes to a relationship, I can separate the two. Obviously, it's gonna carry over initially because that's what I'm used to out here. But you got to be the right kind of man in order for me to step down. And if
Right,
you're
but I
not,
also,
then it is gonna cause an issue in the relationship because I'm used to grinding it out. I'm used to, you know, having that outcome and all these opportunities and getting paid for what I'm doing and all this other stuff. So if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, of course it's gonna look like I'm trying to take over.
But
right, but
that's
the
oh, go
right
ahead.
man will now want you to step down, right? So I think again, it goes back to how uniquely you decide what type of man is in your life. And even Dana said it earlier, right? You're not looking at it from an extremism perspective, but you also said men can't be a part of that table, which is extreme in itself. So it's just like you're looking for equality under feminism, but we can't be at the table either. There's no equality in that.
Well, I didn't say
So,
you can't be at the table. I'm talking about more so
no,
in the relationship. Like, be at the table when we're in the workforce, but in a relationship. And what I meant by step down, I meant as in like you lead. But if I don't feel as though you can lead or you're not portraying those qualities, like my jerk reaction is to lead because that's what I'm used to doing in the workforce.
Mm.
Eddie spoke exactly the word that I wanted to use, which is extreme. So I think as I'm hearing everybody talk more, what I'm getting is there's not a balance, right? I think everybody, male and female, carry masculine energy and feminine energy. And when you have to know when to use which one. So when you say feminism and you're only talking about feminine, you're speaking in that one extreme. You're there's no balance there. So like even when you talked about last week, toxic masculinity and the definition of that only, I mean, granted, I think the actions are feminine in themselves, but it only lends to one extreme, which is just full on masculinity. The other part of this would be toxic femininity, which lends to one side, just that one extreme. If there's no balance there, then you're not aligned. So I think that when you do have that balance, you're gonna have a guy who is masculine but knows when to be gentle, when to be understanding. So all those things you're talking about, you want Dana, it's gonna come with that. But that masculinity is gonna function at a higher level, which allows him to be in that leadership role. The same with a woman. Like you're gonna need that Chris, that aggressive side of you in a certain part of your life, maybe the workforce, maybe as a mom, but then there comes that part where your femininity is gonna have to take the higher role in order to have that balance created in that relationship. But that's just my opinion, just what I'm hearing from you guys.
Good.
So I was gonna, along with what Q was saying, I was gonna say I think feminism is such a curse word to a lot of men because they're talking about, they think of the extreme version of feminism, the bra burning, hate men, I can do without a man, and that is I believe that that's where we go wrong. Well, we as a society, I'll say, go wrong in thinking of feminism. There's degrees and levels to everything and anything. Feminism is how you define it for yourself. And that's why I'm not really a big fan of following groups. I don't do group think very well because it creates a monolith. And I don't do well with saying I'm all in with every principle that you believe in within this group. And so we have to be very careful with that. And so there's levels to and degrees to, feminism is the root word is feminine.
See, we don't
Valuing
listen.
my
We don't
feminine.
listen. We don't listen. Eddie just told us feminism doesn't even apply to us. So
Okay.
what are we talking about it for? Is feminism keeping women single? No, men are. Men are keeping women single. That's the question right now. Men are like, you could be the best woman. You come to the table with everything. And if a man sees an opening where he could just take advantage and dip off, he will. If he has so many options that he can't, if he has so many options, I don't think it has anything to do with us as women. Men are the issue.
Hilarious.
Man, flip the coin, move the goalpost.
I don't disagree. I first of all, I love what Asia said about the term feminism being a curse word, but I also love what Eddie said earlier in saying it is definitely a white woman's ideology, which is why I said earlier when I think of feminism in general, I initially and I think the masses think of white women and then black women. But I have to agree with sis. When I think of feminism, I don't think about it behind closed doors, and I think people think about it as an extreme. I think it's a lack of emotional maturity on both parts, right? And being able to figure out, okay, I'm a good woman, I bring all of this to the table. Maybe I need to change maybe my circle of men, my vetting of men. But then I also think we never ask the men. And I don't think we ever hold men accountable for the roles that they play. You all want to be this leader, right? And then when you come into place, as he was saying to Chris, for the right man, it won't matter. But the problem is that there are not a lot of men in showcasing that are okay with their women doing X, Y, and Z, right? It's an issue if a woman makes more money than you. Well, I'm the man. And that there are moments, I'm sure, when arguments happen, well, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the lead, which is why this conversation, I feel like, continues to happen over and over and over again ad nauseum. Like, it's not just the woman. The men also have to be accountable in the role that they play. You have to be. Like, period. And there's never any accountability or blame on them. It's always, what is the woman doing? We had the conversation several episodes ago. Women are going to these self-improvement classes. Women are getting the therapy. Women are going to these classes on how to, perform better in the bedroom. What are the men doing? What are they doing? There's never any accountability on that.
And he's blaming us in the chat. He said women don't hold themselves accountable. Why are you saying that?
Men never look at themselves.
Y'all doing it right now. I'm not trying to take up space, as Ham said, the floor is for y'all, but it's crazy how much this shit was defined for y'all earlier. You heard from a man, and for some reason, no matter what, the topic is feminism. Men are still getting blamed for shit. It's crazy. And even Q pointed it out, utilizing the word accountability that I use all the time. It's just like we're talking about. Go ahead, Alex.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, like the ultimate thought, like in regards to the question, right? Are women keeping women single? It is conversations like these, right? As much as the finger is being pointed at self, right? Men are blamed for everything all the time, no matter what. There's never room for us to breathe in regards to our responsibility, right? So we got Shanice and Hamp here, right? Married couple. Hamp cannot take a fucking day off. The motherfucker goes to work, then he goes to DJ, then he has to be a father. There's no in between where he can be like, you know what? Because of masculinity, I have to take a break. I have to be this. I need a moment of leisure for myself. No, he has to be on as much as possible all the time to provide, protect, and take care of his family. Men do not have that luxury, right? So in regards to Alex, to your point, it's like, yo, men are always being scrutinized no matter what, and we cannot take a breath. We just got to take that shit on the chin. Women, on the other hand, have the luxury of ideology like feminism to lean on, and relatively, I'm going to use the word complaint about things in the world that men have no luxury of even remotely saying anything about. Because if you don't work, you a bum. If you in the street, you a bum. If you're not dressed right, you a bum. I can't talk to you, right? And these are the things I mentioned it earlier about toxic girlfriend groups. It's just like, these are the things y'all will point out. Whole group of women, I'm a chef. I be in restaurants. I look at this shit. Whole group of women in a restaurant. Couple guys come in. They happen to be well-dressed or whatever. All them women are talking some sort of shit about that man or both those group of men. Oh, they must be broke, this and that, yada, yada, yada. Me personally, most of my friends don't make less than 6 figures. They're in the $200,000, $300,000 range, right? I would never introduce most of those guys to some of the women that I come across. It's just like that mentality is there. So when I mentioned earlier that I wouldn't date a woman who defines herself as the feminist, it's because I hear talking points like I'm hearing tonight, and it's just like, yo, some of that shit. If y'all were to just really be objective about it, honest and accountable, and really fell back from looking at it from an emotional perspective, but also looking at it from a deficit perspective, it's just like, yo, you know what? Some of that shit my homegirl be saying,
wrap
it
it
be
up,
some
Eddie.
bullshit. I'm trying. Some of that shit my homegirl be saying is some bullshit. Some of that stuff that I be looking at, yada yada yada, is some bullshit. Spiritual world, shade room, all that bullshit, it fucks with your subconscious, and then you project it onto men. And
No,
it's
that's
just like,
wrong.
yo,
I'm
take it
trying to
calm.
figure out where the lie is, though. If a woman brings everything to the table, and a man just does not choose her, that woman is still single after that. So what
That's
are you
not his
saying?
problem.
Well,
That's your
hold on. So, sis, give me the three things that you're saying women bring. Right?
Well,
Maybe if we get three things that women of today say they are bringing. What are those? Give me three things.
what are we bringing?
Yeah,
We're
because you're saying
bringing
like women bring all this to the table. Just give me three things.
meaning just being a stand-up woman, meaning she takes care of her home, she takes care of her body, she takes care of her children, she takes care of the house, she cooks, she cleans. I'm meaning not a raggedy woman who's not trying to do any of that. Just being
How do you
a
know
woman.
that though? How does a man know she's doing all that if they're just dating?
Well, they're not talking or asking questions.
So here's the mindset, right? Chris was saying, Chris, you said something to the effect of, if I don't trust him, I'm not stepping down, right? When do you prove your femininity if he has to prove his masculinity by showing you he can lead? When do women prove their femininity?
But it's kind of like what
But it's kind of
he
wait,
was
when I'm asking a question though, when do women prove their femininity? Men got to do spend all this time proving their masculinity, proving they can lead, and wrestling with this woman, and she's living in the same energy he's living in. And by the time he tired of wrestling, now she want to be in that historical femininity,
but no
cooking,
one's saying
cleaning,
it
all the stuff that
doesn't
Sissy
happen though.
named.
No, so like what Q was saying about the balance, and I do like that she said that earlier. You have to be in the right environment for that balance. So when you are in that, the
I don't
male
know.
will
I don't
have
even know what I guess you just it's your turn to talk, so you're just talking because you're not answering what I asked.
I
That's
am
fine.
answering your question.
No, that's fine. Just
Like,
go ahead and talk. Go
no
ahead. Go
one,
ahead.
when you're in balance, nobody is fighting for masculinity or femininity because you're both exuding what you should at that time. That's
You
what I'm
said
saying.
you said you wanted him to show you before you step down. So what does he need to live in that instance?
What I'm saying is that in the right
Bruh.
relationship, he's going to automatically be doing what he should. And me, I would naturally just come up under
But
that
he's
and not
saying, what
get
would
into
he
a
have to
submission
show?
type of way.
Possibly, guys, she's recanting her statement. Can she land?
I'm not recanting. I'm just
God,
I think to just
I'm not recanting. What I'm saying is based on what you said earlier about balance, I agreed with you. Male and feminine energy, I agree with you about the balance. But that can only happen in the right environment when you're in a relationship. That's all I'm saying. So if you're in that balance, the male is going to automatically lead. But if you're not in balance and he's not leading, my natural inclination is to step up because that's what I do in my regular life.
And I think just to kind of go back what I was saying, because I let Eddie finish, what I was saying was that in the context of the singledom conversation, I don't ever hear the masses asking the men, why are y'all single? It's always the woman, why are you single? And right, Eddie, also understand that when we're having these conversations, right, we have to think bigger than just our circle of people that we're dealing with, right? Just I just want to put that out there, right?
That's a
Why
good
I'm
point,
single,
Alex.
All
Why
right,
is
all right.
Eddie single? Why is Eddie single?
and I asked that because even when we
Well,
have these conversations, have we ever asked, and I'm not putting it on them, we've never
Or
asked
is
this, so Eddie, why are you single?
yeah.
Well, we will share, or this person, why are they single? There's never a whole conversation dedicated to you, gentlemen. Why are you single? And what could you do? And why are you toxic? It is always on the women.
man, the
Women go
women.
through all of these spaces, right, to go ahead and to do self improvement. You know, we try, But my question is always, well, what are you doing to try to improve yourself to be better
And
for
B.
them?
And B. Y'all both single.
Right. I just excluded because we will tell you why.
I think.
But
I don't know if Eddie's single. We'll let him answer.
I am single. I am single, right? And it's conversations like this is why niggas are single, right? Because you got to consider if you run into throngs of women who think like this, right? It's just like, yo, you got to consider. I know what a good woman looks like. Everybody in my family is married. My parents, uncles, aunts, 30, 40, 50-year-old marriages, right? So in regards to settling, which I think most men settle more than women do, it's like I'm not gonna settle for no nonsense, right? And you got to consider if we live in a culture of women who profoundly want to consistently go against the grain, right? As Chris was saying, I'm gonna eventually get to a point where he proves himself that I'm gonna allow my femininity to happen. It's a consistent war with black women for men to get a remote inkling of femininity. And it's just like you go over that a million times over with different women. It's just like, yo, men don't get to do again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not gonna be long-winded. We have to do and uphold that shit for ourselves all the time. And then we have to somewhat prove it to y'all when y'all don't have anything to prove yourselves.
So you don't think you have to work in a relationship?
Say I couldn't hear the question.
You don't think you have to work in a relationship? You keep saying
I just told you there's no turning it off. I always have to be in a matter of proving myself for work, for myself, all of that shit, right? Men don't say like, oh, I'm proud, independent black man. We just have to do what the fuck we have to do. Only women carry that shit on their shoulders. So like in terms of women, I'm always chivalrous. I'm always attempting to do what I have to do. If I'm hollering at a chick, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And if you consistently come up with, oh no, you got to prove yourself to me. And then maybe in a couple months, I'll show you some sort of femininity. Ain't nobody dealing with that shit.
But you don't think that the woman is proving herself as well? And no one's saying like in a couple of months.
It depends on the woman. It's almost, it's in singularity is my answer to that. It's very rare occasions I'll run into a woman who's feminine, who doesn't feel offended by masculinity or isn't approaching me with her masculine energy. It's a singularity that I run across that. And
So
those are rare.
that's your ideal woman that you just described?
No, I'm giving you a phenotype. I didn't say nothing about my ideal.
All right, let me get. So everybody went. Go ahead, babe.
I was just wondering, what are the feminine like traits that you're looking for when you're dating that the women possibly are not possessing, or what you're looking for while dating?
Yeah, a great conversation that isn't based on us asking each other immediately what we do for a living. That's a very DC ass question. It's also very aggressive because you're looking at what is it that I do for a living based upon characterizing my salary, based upon whether or not it works for you, not necessarily coming into it as a tandem, as a partnership, so we can do things together. Because on average, data-wise, most successful couples are successful because they combine their income. So if I'm making
like, come on, what do you like? You said good conversation doesn't involve what do you do? What's number two? Like, do you even know what you really like? Do you know what you like?
Yeah, I do. I don't need you to speak on my behalf, Asia. You do that terribly. So when I'm talking about these type of things, okay, conversation, right? Communication, right? Showing up to a date in a decent, dress or whatever. Yeah, you don't got your BBL out, nothing crazy, tits all popping all over the place, none of that, right? You got some sort of like, if I walk into like an expensive restaurant with you, you know that you allow me to open the door for you, me to pull your chair, all those good things, right? You're not burping at the table. You're not on your cell phone at the table. Bro, I've seen a whole bunch of bullshit, trying to tell you, right? But like you're decent, right? Like you know how to have a conversation beyond, again, the career. Talk about art. Let's talk about what's going on with your family. Let's talk about what's going on in the way that you grew up. What are some of your goals? What are some of your likes, right? I know how to have conversation. That's easy, right? But also I want to get in depth into who you actually are. But also I want reciprocity. There's another word that you don't get in return. I'm often on dates and I'm low-key talking to myself. And this chick got a master's and all this other things. And sometimes education does not equal intelligence.
It sure doesn't.
Well, it's a lot of words. You use a lot of words.
I didn't assign
What you're asking for it.
Energy though.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm asking for, Sharnice, is very basic, low-key.
What's feminine about those
That's
things?
what I was like. That's what I'm saying. How is that feminine energy? That was just basic, consideration for being out with somebody.
what I think y'all are missing, and I'll cut myself off because I could be long winded. What I think y'all are missing is there's a particular energy that comes with things that you may have considered basic, what I just said, but it's like when a woman performs in a way that's just like, God damn, I'm in the presence of a feminine, beautiful woman. She doesn't have to be extra. She knows that with me, she's protected. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to take care of the bill, all those other things. Cool. When you're with a woman that's masculine, it's just like, nah, I got the door, my nigga. Don't worry about it. It's just like, what?
Well, no, so it's not even overt like that. But
It's
and
not.
see,
I'm
here's
being
the thing:
extreme,
if
but
you don't, I know, but if you don't see, here's what's the problem, right? If you name something Eddie, everybody starts rolling their eyes and shaking their head, right? Because they're saying, well,
right.
that can be a trait for anything. Feminine is a feeling, right? How that woman comes across, how she presents, the aura, right? That is what we're looking for. And you don't know until you feel it. Right. So he can start naming shit like she wait for me to open the door, wait for me to open her car door. She'll know she'll walk on the other side of the road and I walk next to the traffic. You can name all that bullshit, right? But the feminine energy from a woman that is attractive and attracts men is a feeling, right? So we know he's not gonna be able to just name how it looks, right? It's an intangible.
It's very subjective, right? And
No, I didn't
No,
say that.
but
It's not.
wait,
It's not. It's
you
not
just sat
subjective.
there and said it's a feeling,
Yeah,
Hamp.
but I didn't say it's
Feelings are
subjective though. I didn't say it's subjective though. Feeling, see, that's the thing. Feeling is subjective. That's synonymous. What are you talking about? We're saying that if Eddie and
You
myself
want me to
and
really
B,
explain what I was
no,
saying
because
or
you're
no?
wrong. So if
Okay,
Eddie,
I'll go back on mute like
myself,
I was
and B walk into a room, we'll feel if a woman is feminine, and it'll be the same woman. That's not subjective, right? Because it's a feeling. That woman will garner the same feeling from all three men. Right? That's what I'm saying. And then how are you going to qualify it? You don't even date women.
oh, cute. Oh,
No,
Oh,
Asia.
oh, Asian. Oh, oh, wait.
So I'm not responding because it's like you don't want to respond
Do
for me.
date women?
So that's why I just
True.
sat back and let you just go
That's
on.
true because you try to qualify something by saying it's
But
subjective. I'm saying it's
because
absolutely
I
not.
want a
By saying it's
definition.
feeling.
Okay, my turn or your turn? Which one? Because
Well,
I
I
can't
was
talk over you
talking.
tonight.
No, I've been chilling, but when I
Well,
say it's a
him.
feeling, it doesn't mean it has to be subjective either.
But him, I think, but Eddie just naming out things that's helpful to women because a girl will grab the door, but if he's saying no, don't grab the door, like that
Mhm.
little stuff is helpful
You
because we're
saying like
used to
do's and
grab.
don'ts?
Yes, because we're used to grabbing the door because it's me and the kid half the time. You know what
well,
I'm saying? It's not me and the dude. So
Mhm.
I'm just saying it's slightly helpful. I can't front.
I have to disagree. I think it kind of goes
I'll
back
hold
to
the
that
door for you.
representative conversation because he just said, and this is no diss to you, Eddie. I think you hit a lot of strong points. And I have actually had another question for you, but you just said like she burping at the table. Now I don't know if that's like burping, but she doesn't have manners to say excuse me, or because I know I've heard stories about like women who say guys don't like them to do things like fart, so they have to go to the bathroom and fart for like a month before they can fart in front of them. Like, how are you really being yourself? So you also said you want her to be herself, so that sounded like a contradiction. Because if I want her to burp in front of me, I want to know, like, I want to know I'm with a real person, like, you know what I'm saying? But it sounds like so like everything that you described sounds like the representative of that person.
Cute.
Nah, I
It's
gave
not
you
about.
traits. I
It's,
gave you traits, and y'all are pulling from I don't know
I
where in
could be
regards to
wrong.
this shit.
I
Yeah.
could be wrong,
I
but I'm
think
just saying that's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, I think in essence, I think to Sis's point, I mean, like we're asking you, right? We're asking, so we got that. But I guess for me, when I think about it, like for me, those things are just good manners. Some people got them, some people don't have them, right? And maybe the woman isn't used to you opening the door because maybe she's dealt with ancient people in the past, right? So say, okay, you open the door. But after that, right? If you were giving advice to your friend or your brother or to someone else, what would you say? Like, yo, this is what you got to do so that you're not single. Here is my advice that I'm giving you, man to man. Women can give advice to other women. Maybe you should have done this. Maybe you should have done that. And I don't know if those conversations actually happen. I don't know if they do. Like man, like camp. I never heard that saying that feminine is a feeling. That's new to me. I never heard that. Like, okay, I like that. You know what I mean? But we don't know, so we're asking you. And it's not that we're being combative. We're just trying to, like, in general, those things should be good manners. You should have some decorum when you go out. It's called home training. Then everybody has it. But after that, what else?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going to keep you in from I'm dating you to now we're in a relationship? To now I want to have some longevity with it. I think that was my question. Sorry if I didn't specify that.
Mm.
So back to my statement, because I got cut off so much tonight. So saying that men feel the feminine energy and they're attracted to it, right? I remember one episode, men were asked to define masculinity or something like that, right? So how is masculinity able to be defined, but femininity or being feminine is not? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just so many double standards, and that's why it's so confusing. It's like, jump through this hoop, but don't jump too high. Make sure you're a lady, but don't be too soft. Make sure that it's so many different rules and regulations surrounding a woman, and that's why a lot of us have our head spinning when it comes to the male relationship, how we engage with men, because it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. At times, that's how we feel, because again, femininity is a subjective feeling. I don't care what you say; feelings are subjective. Yeah, because the way you that's my opinion. You have your opinion about it. My opinion is that feelings are very subjective. But how can you define femininity? How can you not define femininity, but you can define masculinity? And that's a real, not rhetorical question.
Are you saying that when the panel of the men defined masculinity or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you women define femininity then?
That's a real question. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody started it. I forgot. Sorry. Somebody gave what they felt femininity was, I believe.
Like, sisters just naming like some old school things like cooking, cleaning, and all that. But is that how you actually define it?
Mm-hmm. We're not a monolith. I'll keep on saying that we're not a monolith. So me being feminine is being soft and feeling. When men ask us to be feminine, I think you're asking us to be soft. That's my interpretation of it, right? And allowing us to, have our walls down and be vulnerable. Okay. I think that's just a normal human trait that we should have in relationships, period, in all honesty. But femininity is also strength. Not physically strong, but strength in mental and emotional and spiritual. I believe that's femininity. Owning your prowess, owning your feminine energy, owning your soft energy, but not being a weakness. That's being feminine. Knowing how to control your emotions and your words is a good feminine trait, I believe. Because that also involves your man when you're in a relationship. Another thing about femininity or feminine is the power that we have to nurture. We're natural nurturers. I think those things are a part of being feminine. If I have to boil it down into like 3 or 4 to keep the conversation moving.
Okay.
I finally just want to answer the question real quick. My answer is going to be no to whether or not feminism is keeping women single. And I want to use Alex as the example because she has a lot of opinions with regards to feminism that kind of support it. Am I correct, Alex? But you're married. So I would have to say no on that, just based on that alone. I don't think she's the only woman who has those types of views, who also is with someone and is not just either dating or completely single bachelorette.
And I agree with you. I think the answer is no to that, because I think, like I said earlier, I think men think feminism is a cuss word, it's a curse word, and it invokes such bitter. And I'm not picking on you, Eddie, but child, the way you start talking about feminism and how you've been treated by feminism, and how you don't want to be around it. And I'm not being cruel right now, but it sounds like butt hurt, and a lot of men get butt hurt when feminism gets brought up, and it's like, no, understand what feminism means to me, and not the extremism, not the extreme people. You're making me laugh at your face. Not the extreme version, But feminism, like we already said it, letting us have our voice, letting us our experiences be valid, letting us be who we are in its totality. That's also feminism as well. Not sitting there saying nigga get in your face and acting ratchet. Ratchet is not synonymous with feminism. And that's been your experience. I get it. You like ratchet chicks or you draw ratchet chicks to you. Hoes that burp at the table, yo, you have to really ask yourself, who are you attracting? Like, let's have a real conversation. If you're attracting all these heifers that burping and everything else and my nigga and can't talk about nothing but look at yourself, because like attracts like. And I'm just giving you real talk right now. I'm not picking on you. I'm just because we talking. I love you.
I want to give y'all one trait, and then I want to, as babe, I don't know if you actually gave an opinion. You just asked Eddie a question, and then B also. But one trait I think, because what Sissy said resonated, is empathy should be a large part of femininity. Because men could really use more of that, because you will not know how it feels to be a man or go with what we go through. That's fine. But to be empathetic in the fact that you don't know, but you want to be there for said situations, that would be very impactful. Just as like, if I could give something more tangible. So B, what's your thoughts? And then Mr. Watson gonna close this one out.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was over at the house on Saturday when we were doing the podcast, one of the things that I hit on is I feel like we need to go back to empathy. You know, being able to see something from someone else's perspective and being able to empathize with that person. You know, and show a little bit of grace and mercy. So absolutely. And one feminine trait that I like to look for in my honeys. So one trait is I like non-aggressive women. You know, I'm going out with a woman, bitch, all goddamn aggressive and shit. And don't slow down, nah, shit. I can't deal with no aggressive bitch. So you
shit
know,
like that, shit like that, shit like that, shit like that.
Oh, an aggressive bitch? No, don't be aggressive. Yeah, I ain't gonna say it. No, never mind. But yeah, aggressive. No, don't be aggressive. Just be a little chill. What you shake your head for, Asia? What's the issue? What you gotta say?
Asia, let him finish.
Okay.
No, that's it. Don't be so aggressive. I don't like aggressive women. No, you can't be aggressive with me. No, and then aggressive leads to hitting, and I hit back. So no.
Can I ask a question, Ham?
Yeah.
Real quick. Just real quick, B.
Who you asking?
I'm asking B. Just what do you mean by aggressive? Just clarify.
I mean, aggressive, like, all right. A woman telling me what time she wants me to meet her at the restaurant. I don't like that. You let me tell you what time I want you there. Don't do that. Or like, just mad aggressive. Like, listen, aggressive. You figure it out. Play with your head, aggressive. You know, aggressive. I mean, shit. Yeah, you know. Okay. Or if I'm on my phone or something, like, and I'm out with a woman, okay, don't be all up in my phone. Who that or who this or who that? Damn, bitch, none of your business. Like that, aggressive. You're aggressive. You're hovering me. That I don't like. That's aggressive.
Overbearing?
Yeah, still aggressive.
So
clarifying.
So let me give a very tangible example, right? And it doesn't have to be super duper like she about to beat somebody up or shit like that, right? But Shanice and I was dating, and we went to this restaurant and they fucked up all the food. It took like 50 minutes for the shit to come. Now she got a knack for this, but she arguing with she arguing with the waiter and all that manager. Boom, boom, boom. It's like 10 of us. We all eat for free. That shit was cool. You know what I'm saying? But when we go out now, like, babe, what do you want? What is this nigga getting? Nigga being one of the kids. All right, cool. Boom. Then I do the ordering. He makes sure everything's copacetic. You know what I'm saying? Now, we still leverage that trait, but on a first date, you probably don't want to be like, nah, waiter, I ain't, you know what I mean? Like, that could come across in a particular way just to make it more tangible, Dana. You know what I mean?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Not to say, like, babe, she'll do it. Sometimes I know when it's on, it's lit. Boom, she gonna do that. But generally speaking, that would be like aggressive for a woman. You know what I mean?
That's why Asia said it's subjective. You didn't mind in that moment that she was a little aggressive. You know.
When? Well, that when we was first date. Now I would probably might say something. But it would
But
be,
you
yeah.
married her after that,
It
so
would be
that's
it
why.
would
She's handling
depend.
it. She's handling it.
Yeah, nah, it would depend. It would depend, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't subject. What do you mean subjective in
Yeah,
terms of what were you
how
referencing?
subjective?
Just
Like
giving
like
Dana an
that
example.
that trait, I guess. Just I guess advocating for everybody and doing maybe something a man would do. I mean, that's not aggressive, or no? That's okay.
Yeah, I said it was an example. What are you talking about?
Well, that's what I heard. So what I'm saying is, Asia said it's subjective. Meaning you accepted that at that moment in that
What
time
is
on that.
subjective though? What is
What?
subjective?
Never mind. Accepting that aggressive trait from a female, or that aggressive behavior from a female in that moment. Like you didn't mind that in that moment, but then
So that
you
makes it
took.
subjective.
Because you said you don't.
But then the mic is too close to your nostrils.
Yeah.
That's aggressive.
But B standpoint, yeah, because you got that motherfucking mic, goddamn B in your nose. I thought, yo, when I was playing the video, I'm like, who is Darth Vader in this
It's
motherfucker?
not in my nose. Hey, thank you. Okay, so I don't mind if you
Um,
deflect, but I think I get
nah.
what I'm saying.
So here's the thing. I don't know what you're saying subjective, but what Q said, everybody has a little bit of traits from different sides. So that point applies. But we were in the process, right? But I'm saying B's saying like he's going out on dates, right? And if Sharnice would have displayed that on a first date, like I just said, that wouldn't be desirable,
At all.
right? But sorry, go ahead. I already had perspective, right? Because we were already in the motion. So if you out there dating, I wouldn't recommend cussing the waiter out on the first date.
But so it sounds like your sis made a point though in the beginning when she answered the question and said it's men. That's the reason that women are single, because you niggas sound picky as fuck.
No.
Well, let me land. So when everybody was asking Eddie all these questions, right? He spoke, and you spoke very eloquently, Eddie, and your words were very much appreciated. However, it sounded like what you wanted was a representative, right? And not for her to be herself. So now Hamp is saying, so women, move in this specific way if you want to appeal to them. We don't want you to be yourself. Because if she would have did that on the first date, that would have been like a flag for me. But she still would have been the same woman. So my question to Eddie earlier was going to be, do you chase or do you attract? Because I believe that like attracts like. So if you're coming across these kind of women, there may be something going on your end that you're not quite aware of, but they right on your same plane. They're just you in female form.
That's an excellent question. So about three of y'all mentioned it already. Just quickly, Hamp. I would say that if the culture is deeply rooted in that type of behavior, right? To your question, whether or not I attract or is coming to me, you got to consider if there is a sweltering number of women who move that way, are profoundly masculine in the way that they move. How is it that I could possibly attract all these type of women with the same characteristics if the culture is rooted in women being overtly aggressive or not knowing what they want or being passive aggressive, right?
But
So it's just like,
my question, do you chase those women or do they come
no,
to you?
absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
I think we need to take accountability of the type of people that we attract in general. There's
No,
always
absolutely. I'd agree.
there's always a common denominator, and I think a lot of times, just in general, we look at what the other person is doing. They did this, they did that, but I feel like very rare do we ever stop and take some self-reflection and say, you know what, maybe this
Absolutely.
is why X, Y, and Z didn't work. And speaking in B,
Absolutely.
doesn't like
Yeah.
aggressive women, but on
Yeah.
the representation that we get here, and I'm not on the date with you, B, you come off aggressive sometimes. So maybe that is why the energy
There you
you
go.
get aggressive,
But
so you attract aggressive women. I don't
but
I
know.
don't come off aggressive
She
at
said
all,
B.
right?
She said
And
But
not
B.
to cut you off, Alex, but to your point earlier, right? Like y'all mentioned for me to provide certain traits, and I gave you that specifically, exactly that, right? But I also cannot define femininity for women. My base is a man. I am a man at the end of the day. I can tell you what femininity is in reflection to me, but I can't define femininity for you.
So I think to that point, And again, maybe revamping the question, because I think we're getting a little bit deeper here, as we should. This is why we're having the conversation. I think, and I wonder, do men ask themselves, why don't my relationships ever work out? Because again, it's always on the woman. We will do our therapy. We will go to our classes to improve this, to do that. We will read our self-help books. But I wonder, do the men ever sit down, let me look at my patterns and let me realize it's not, forget what the woman is doing, but what do I do myself? And I don't know if those conversations happen. Maybe you realize, like, you know what, maybe even something like, I don't pick them the best. Why don't I pick them the best? You know, maybe I do this in relationships. Maybe I'm not as emotionally available as I think that I am. And I don't know if those conversations ever happen. So back to Sis's point, it's on the men.
Right. Now,
the problem is not that it's on the men. I think there is a disconnect between men and women, because what just happened is that Eddie just said, hey, I'm putting it back on women to say what femininity is and things of that nature. We're thinking we know what femininity is and we're giving it off, and you're saying, no, that's not it. So that's where I feel like there is a disconnect of saying, hey, what is femininity? That's why I asked the questions. What are the traits you're looking for? Because I think that we're thinking it's you. You're not doing this X, Y, and Z. I mean, there's a lot of people here who are single and saying, hey, I'm doing this. I'm doing what you're saying, but they're still not picking me. Why aren't you picking me? I'm being feminine. I'm being soft. And then you're saying, no, you're not being soft. It's a feeling. How am I supposed to be able to replicate that feeling so that I'm standing in my femininity? Sometimes I'm checking, like, am I being feminine? Am I not?
But being feminine is female. That's all it is. You have a vagina. That's it.
It also means, doesn't mean it's being
feminine means girl, like you're a woman.
I understand, but what it sounds like is that they're not receiving. So you're telling me you're going on a date with a girl, and for some reason you're still not getting it? And it's all the man's fault?
No. We're talking about being feminine. What I'm saying is, to define being feminine, you're a female. You're a girl.
I understand that, but there's a disconnect. And I are originally we are the female, but just because we are the female, that's not good enough.
Hold on. Okay.
Yeah,
right,
just being a female isn't good enough. Yeah, just being a female isn't good enough.
Which is why.
Like, go ahead, B.
Oh, and actually, to Alex's point, to the question you asked earlier, you know what? And Help can vouch for me on this. You know, I sit back and I ask people questions about me, and I sit back and I do a lot of self-reflecting. And you know, I can honestly say I can be a very rambunctious person. Now, I have ADHD that plays a part in it, but I can be a very rambunctious person. I'm a very passionate person. I'm a very excited person. I'm about to come out with the new book, you know, about a lot of things. That's some stuff I'm trying to do, okay? You know, I have issues. And for a woman to deal with me, it's going to take a special woman. Everybody can't deal with me. And for me to sit back and say that a lot of potential relationships didn't work out because of the woman, that would be a lie. Now, I'm not going to sit back and say I'm 100% at fault. No. But a lot of things, I take responsibility for it. And the flags was there. The red flags was there. But I pursued because I thought I could change her. I thought it would work. I was thinking with my head instead of my heart. I mean, with my heart instead of my head. You know, I take a lot of blame for it. So yeah, I'm one of those men. I'll own up. Yeah, I was wrong. I was at fault. Yeah.
And that's being accountable, B. And that is being accountable, and that is maturity, and that is growth. Thank you for showing the others how it's done.
Now, I hope that you guys can do the same thing, because it hasn't been done largely on this panel. And I'm kind of disappointed because there's so many women on the panel, and I had the guys be quiet because I was thinking that we could really dig into this, like how the guys did last week. And the vulnerability that was shown from the fellas last week was admirable. I watched that like a couple times just because it was a real conversation. Also, men, at least. Go ahead, man.
I wanted to answer the question whenever you're finished.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying, like, we actually have these conversations in my circle in terms of what are you doing to be successful in relationships. So we actually do have those conversations. and we hold each other a lot more accountable maybe than assumed. And hopefully somebody will improve because of that. Go ahead.
And I was gonna say, it's feminism like keeping women single. And I think when we think of feminism, it's the extreme one. And I would say, yes, the extreme feminism of saying I'm an independent woman, I don't need a man, that will keep you single in that mindset that you don't need a partner in life. But when we're talking about, hey, I just want to sit at a table, if we're talking about not the extreme, then I don't think that that is what's keeping women single.
Yeah. So you're saying like the one where, hey, we want the same amount of opportunities. We want a voice. If
Correct.
we're talking about
I think those are like the softer feminism traits that we're asking for when speaking about feminism. But when we're talking about the extreme, I'm independent, I don't need, I can do exactly what men can do. I think that is keeping women single because nobody wants to be with another man. Pretty much that's pretty much what's happening when you're doing that extreme feminism, is saying, hey, I don't need you in the household. I think we have to be that way as Black women because guess what? Like we had to take something that's not great and make it great. That's what we've done all our lives, to say, hey, we've got dealt a shitty hand, but guess what? If we're dealt a shitty hand, we're going to make the best of it, and we're going to be proud of what we're dealt with and do what we have to do. And so that's where we came out as this independent Black woman, that we be able to stand strong and do X, Y, and Z. But that's not necessarily where we want to be. We want to be with a man. We don't want to have those traits. Unfortunately, becomes part of who we are as identity, and becomes harder to let those traits down. But I think it's important for women to know, like, we don't need to be that extreme feminist, and to be able to say, hey, let's let that be. We don't want to be, to let it go, let our guard down, let the man be the man in our relationship, and still saying, hey, we still have a voice at the table. And I think that's where sometimes, where like Chris was saying, it's hard to let that go, because now you're like, am I going to have a voice at that table anymore? Am I still going to be able to say stuff? But to say, hey, yes, I'm still going to be able to say things, then it becomes easier to let the man be able to lead.
Just as a statistic, 20% of the men are sleeping with 80% of the women. If women control access to sex, and Alex was saying the men should be more accountable, and Sis said it's the men's fault, but women are picking the same pool of men because people think maybe they have to settle, or maybe these men aren't 6 feet because only 14% of the population is 6 feet. So I think we need to do a little bit more of a deep dive into what the problem actually is. I think that's a separate conversation. But look that stat up. You can vet it. All right, so I know it's 11:02. It's getting late, but I have to hit this. So Alex, you be acting like you tired, and you know you got the easiest job.
Listen, I'm wide awake today. Don't do that.
Mrs. Watson, you got all them kids, so I know you acting like, you know, whatever.
You got nighttime
Chris,
duty, so it's fine.
Shit, you shit me. I'm gonna be sick later on.
No. I'm waking up at 6 a.m.
I'm getting sick at 11:59.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me hit this then. Asia, you good? All right. Hey, Eddie, way to hold it down, too, man. It was on your ass, boy. But Eddie was punching, though. Y'all had him in the corner, but
Eddie was windmilling.
Yeah.
No corner. I got it.
He was windmilling. How that shit look? I forget how it look.
Shit like that.
I like it, man. Hey, do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Shout out to everybody who's watching on Twitch. The Twitch people going in on the sure. Russ and Adrian have a full-on argument. I'm about to set up a live stream with just them two about me saying femininity is a feeling. They still argue. I don't even think they friends no more, but fuck it.
Yeah, I like that because it's subjective. It's subjective, and
Yeah,
Russ.
it's
yeah.
going both ways though. It's a good conversation now that they digging into it. But I think more people might think it's subjective. All right, I gotta ask the question. First off, make sure everybody hit the like button. If you want to stream, that shit is absolutely free. Hit the like button right now. That helps our YouTube channel the most. If you on Twitch, if you on Twitter, youtube.com/@thismightberisky. That'll get you to our YouTube. All right. Oh shit, this is the wrong one, right? Give me 1 second. So the question is toxic mass femininity a thing? That's the headline. I don't know how to spell it. Is toxic femininity really a thing? Q. You usually go last. Can you go first?
I'm so glad you called on me first. Yo, so I said last week that toxic masculinity is not a thing. I think the same could be said for toxic femininity. Um, I think these are terms that obviously are made up. It's just somebody grouping a bunch of shit that people do to say that something exists that really doesn't exist, in my opinion. However, I will entertain the conversation by saying this. If toxic masculinity does exist to certain people, by way of definition, then I would say that toxic femininity would be the opposite, with just replacing male with female or masculine with feminine. So, for example, toxic masculinity can be explained as a group of traits or characteristics that men carry that they think will make them more manly, but they actually cause damage and they actually encourage men to do bad things. So I say the same for feminine, or what is it, toxic femininity? It's a group of traits or characteristics that women feel they need to embody in order to be more feminine, but it only brings out the worst in them.
Okay.
So,
okay. B, is toxic femininity really a thing?
Well, one of the things that Q said was feel like we're just wanting the society wants to group a whole bunch of words together. I would have to say in this case, no, for the simple fact I don't believe that toxic masculinity is real. So therefore, I don't believe that toxic femininity is a real thing. I believe that people can be toxic, but if we're going to say femininity as a whole is toxic, I mean, I will probably have to do more research and thinking about that. But I believe people are toxic, but toxic femininity, I can't see that.
And this topic, 6 days ago, you couldn't do no research between now and.
Well, so you know what happened? I did research, but I still couldn't find a clear-cut answer.
Okay. All right. Thanks, B.
Now I found a clear-cut answer on new wave feminism. You know, people being hoes, but toxic femininity. As I researched that, I mean, people are toxic, but your femininity being toxic. I don't know. But I could be wrong.
Do you think a woman can be too feminine? In how you understand what feminine to be?
I don't see how a woman could be too feminine. No.
Okay. Asia, what you think?
Yes, it is a thing. I think just like toxic masculinity exists, so does toxic femininity exists. And I think the core value of those things is overcompensation of feminine or masculine, right? And so femininity of it in of itself is not toxic. No, absolutely not. But you can add toxic behaviors within it and mix it together and you can cause a toxic femininity outcome and or behavior action. And same thing with masculinity. So no, femininity is not toxic in of itself, but when you add in those negative toxic behaviors, that's where you got it.
What does it look like? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, and it comes out and it's from an overcompensation, right? And so from a femininity aspect, I think we talked about it earlier throughout tonight. You know, a woman being mad, abrasive, and aggressive, feeling that she has to overpower a man, whether it be with her physical prowess, which is kind of impossible. Anyway, that's another topic in of itself. It could be her attitude, her behaviors, her words, like overpowering not just men, but women as well. toxic femininity includes suppressing or attempting to oppress and suppress men and women, right? But we're talking about it from the opposite standpoint. So it's trying to oppress or suppress. And I'm saying that because that's my example for toxic masculinity. When you're trying to suppress and oppress women, to exert yourself over them, that's toxic.
So you're saying the same exact thing applies for femininity as well?
Toxic femininity, yes, as well as toxic masculinity, right? Because like I said, in of themselves, by themselves, they're not bad. But when you add in those bad negative behaviors, that's when it becomes the toxic preface to it.
No, I got you, but just so we're clear, you're saying oppress or suppress goes for toxic femininity as well as toxic masculinity?
Correct. When you try to do that to others, yes.
Okay.
That's a toxic behavior.
Okay. Chris, what you think?
I'm just trying to understand the definition that you're looking by for toxic femininity, because the way that I'm looking at it is just like the mold and construct of what people see as feminine, and women having to fit into that mold. And if you're not doing or exhibiting those attributes, then you're not feminine, and that's toxic. So I've heard like, oh, your confidence or your aggressiveness, that's not feminine. Those aren't feminine traits. That I need to, calm down a little bit, or I need to settle myself in the presence of men because I'm not exuding feminine energy. I think that that's toxic.
So you're saying if you don't fit in the mold of stereotypical femininity, and
Yeah.
people say therefore you aren't feminine, that's where the toxicity comes from?
Yes.
That's different. Okay. Dana, what you think?
I agree with Chris wholeheartedly. I had actually never heard of the term toxic femininity before, so I did look it up. And based on what I researched, it Chris hit the nail on the head. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of you being too feminine and that behavior or those attributes are toxic in and of themselves, but more so that toxic femininity is actually kind of based in patriarchy a little bit. So that if you're not, like she was saying, if you're not conforming, or if you're not behaving or conducting yourself a certain way, then that's considered to be toxic femininity. So it's not actually a slight to us for being feminine. It's a slight to the constructs that society has put on us to make us feel as though we have to conform or to behave a certain way. So for that reason, I will say that it does exist.
Okay. All right. I see. Sis, what you think?
Chris and Dana explained the definition of it, so that's just what it is.
Well, here's a definition from the chat. Toxic femininity: when a woman uses traits of her gender and privileges within her gender to weaponize, diminish, or take advantage of a person of the opposite gender, which is different from what Chris and Dana are saying.
It goes along with what I said.
Where'd
Yes,
they get that from? Because everything you Google is what Chris and Dana have explained.
Okay. So you're saying that it does exist, so that if a woman doesn't fit in what the masses deem feminine, then she's toxic, or the masses are toxic?
No,
He's
a person.
She's toxic.
Yeah.
What is it? What did it say? A person judging another woman for not being feminine enough. Things like
Is
that.
toxic person?
That's what the internet is saying.
That's weak, right?
Look it up on your smartphone.
No, I'm asking.
What that person said again?
Hey, listen, y'all gonna have to pay me for using my terminology now. Like, you knew you had a smartphone before I said it, but you too busy watching Pornhub and goddamn baller alert.
How
I
you
tried to
know?
that baller alert. But what?
So I have some examples right here. So
Okay.
it basically is saying like a parent who continually pressures you to have children because that's what women do, or a social media influencer who says real women have curves, or an acquaintance who says you haven't found love because men find your confidence intimidating.
So
That's, I think, toxic femininity is.
all right, so Hamp asked a question that I really would like an answer to. He said, "Is the woman toxic or the masses, or however you word it, Hamp?"
Yeah, I'm saying, is the society toxic or is
The
that
masses,
Right? Is the
masses,
society toxic or is the woman?
So I think
society.
the masses are toxic, but they're saying that the woman technically is toxic because that she's not exuding these attributes.
So and that's the case, then it would be saying majority of the women are toxic, but that woman in particular is toxic.
No, the
No,
masses are
the
being
masses are
toxic
toxic.
towards other women,
Yes.
saying, "Oh, you should have a baby by now because you're 36," or stuff like that. Are examples
Yeah,
of
so you and
toxic
Eddie and
femininity.
Camp would be toxic to the panel. That's what the
Basically, on some
Wait,
days.
I thought in that definition it said women were toxic to other women. No,
I,
No,
hold on, Alex.
it says the judging of. It might say women judging other women. Hold on.
And I'm if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I thought it said women doing it to women.
It says describes behavior that reflects or supports gender-based stereotypes or social norms for women.
It feels
It
like
does
not
say
even saying
it
that.
does say other women.
Yeah, I
I
haven't
think what
seen
it's
it.
saying is that similar to toxic masculinity, it is playing into the stereotypes of women at an extreme level, right? I think of the damsel in distress situation. When I think about it because I'm a woman, I can't do this. I think about when we look at divorce court and custody battles, right? Because I'm a woman, I shouldn't have to work. I'm the mom, I should do this. It's an extreme case, right? And then the favor goes into the woman, right? Because she's the mom, she should automatically be awarded this. Because she's the woman, she's automatically the victim, right? That's when I think of toxic femininity. I think about women, and I feel like in most spaces, attractive women have been there because I'm pretty. Like I'm not worrying about that. I'm not paying for that. I'm gonna let him pay for it. Why? Because he's a man, right? So I think it's the picking and choosing of things. I think even in the most extreme situation that we've seen in our history, I think about Emmett Till, right? The white woman, she said he whistled at me. I felt my virtue as a woman was questioned. I felt threatened. I felt a wave. I think that's how the Karens were birthed. And because of that, her toxicness and her lying and men feeling like I have to come to her and protect her femininity, Emmett Till was killed. So I think about in those extreme situations. And I hate to put it on race, but when I think of toxic femininity, I think about white women when they're in spaces and they get to play the white woman tears. I think to me that's toxic femininity. I'm in a space of men and I know my tears are going to move the masses. All I have to do is cry. So that is what I think about when I think of toxic femininity. It is a thing. There's a spectrum to it, but it definitely exists.
Okay.
That was well said, Alex.
Yeah, I think that one. I think I agree with that
But
one
that's
more.
not the
maybe.
definition. That's not what Google says. I'm so confused.
There's so many definitions.
There is a lot of definitions.
There's not though. I don't get it.
What website is it? Is it Oxford or something? Or is it Urban Dictionary?
The one I
Literally
found was on
says the
Healthline.
judging of other women. It literally says the judging of that.
But even in the sense of judging other women, right? You're not a woman if you don't have children. You're not a real woman if you don't have curves, right? It's downplaying and it's pitting women against one another, right? Questioning someone's womanhood. If you are not this, then you are not a true woman. That's toxic, right? Similar to the men. You're not a man if you let this happen. You're not a man if you allow that happen. So it exists on both spectrums from the male and the female. You're not a woman if. You're not a man if.
Yeah. I think if I don't see, that probably makes the most. That resonates with me the most. Although I think with men tell each other that, I don't know if we see it as toxic.
That's toxic, yeah.
But
We have
but that was different from what you just said about women using their attributes to gain what they want.
No, remember she was saying in like court for the children. I'm helpless. I need this. I need the money for this, that, and the third, and
Right.
leveraging
She's
that.
using the fact that she's a woman to get what she wants. She doesn't want to work. Oh, I'm a female. That's kind of what you were using with the Emmett Till definition. And then what you just said was basically what I was saying earlier about us not fitting in the construct of being a woman and people being toxic, the masses being toxic about that.
So I think, and what I'm saying is that
Can
there's
it be both?
right? There's various examples of what is considered toxic, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we think about the man, again, I use the example, you're not a man if you don't do X, Y, and Z, right? But we can also say the way a man uses his masculinity can be toxic or oppressive to me as a woman. So I think there's so many different examples. That's why I think it's hard to find one exact example or true definition of what toxic femininity is. It's a whole genre of things. And I think it happens more than we realize. I think we have it amongst women within one another. You're not a woman if, but then I also think as women, we use our femininity to the opposite sex. We use it in positions where, okay, like, I'm going to play the emotional card. That's a feminine thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to cry. I'm going to say, I'm the mother. How could you take this child from me? I know best. We use that. And that in itself is toxic.
Gotcha.
Would you include
Hold on. Hey, let me get. I just want to make sure everybody got a chance to answer. Man, did you answer?
Oh, no, I didn't answer, but I agree with Alex and Asia. I think I didn't realize it could have been the way like Chris is saying it. So I don't really have much input right now.
Okay, go ahead, Eddie.
I was going to ask Alice if you include women who are not naturally born women within the toxic femininity spectrum, right? Because this week we saw news of that demographic having a problem with the ancestor Aretha Franklin's song Natural Woman, right? So it's like, I would consider that toxic femininity, but it's coming from so-called feminists.
Can I correct you on that? Can I correct you on that, Eddie? They found out that was a satire site and it wasn't real. So that article was poor journalism that was even distributed because they believed the satire site. So that's a null and void moot point because there wasn't a real.
I mean, I think the point stands, even though if the article is bullshit, but you now have, years worth of a narrative from a particular subset group who claims to be women and feminine and all these other things, but you pull their skirt up, they got the same shit I got. So is that within the same?
A good example would be like when they're saying, I think it's a good point. Because like when Eddie's
that's the point. Like, now go ahead, Asia. You was about to defend it. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you have motherfuckers who are not women, but are having arguments on behalf of women. It was just like, yeah, you were about to defend it. Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I said or not. You said no. You said would I have any fierce? Same thing you got. I said or not is what I said. I wasn't agreeing with them. I'm just saying they might have their stuff.
Yeah, but you said it sarcastically. So like, but that's just.
Are you? Did I hurt you again? I'm sorry, Eddie. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt. I didn't offend.
You're consistently passive aggressive, so I was trying to make sure. I just wanted clarity.
You're trying to use other words in the chat. It's okay. I really was I was not defending them, and you know what? I apologize. Guest.
You said it with a smile of sarcasm, so I don't know. But again, I was talking to Alex. So Alex, if you could,
this is toxic femininity that you're exhibiting right now. I
wanted Alex to answer since he answered the question. You just kind of butted in, but go ahead, please, Alex.
I think if we were going by the various definitions, then yes, non-cisgendered women could consider could say that is toxic femininity because it's questioning their womanhood.
What'd you say? Sorry.
Cisgendered women.
That's some shit they made up.
So cisgendered women are women who identify with the sex that they were born. So for me, I was born with a vagina and I identify as a woman.
Wait, why do you have to say cis? Why don't you just say women?
Because that's the conversation that they have, right? It's between I'm more feminine than you because I was born with a vagina versus I wasn't, right? So that's the conversation. So in the technical term, putting all the definitions together, yes, that very conversation right there could be toxic femininity, because back to Chris's point, are you a real woman if you don't have X, Y, and Z? Some could defend and say you're being toxic in saying that. You're excluding us from the conversation. It's toxic to some people.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're not born women.
To some people, yes, because you are questioning and going back to Chris's point that she made, real women have curves. Well, some can argue that real women were born with vagina.
I guess I'm toxic then, because I'm arguing that real.
Which is what I'm saying. I'm like, some people can argue that. They could argue that.
What's the demographic that usually argues that? Because it's not black people, usually. Large scale.
I don't got a statistic for you.
The Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia.
I know the answer to this shit. I'm just trying to get some honesty, but
I think it's a generational thing. What are they? Generation X or whatever they're called, Generation Z.
There's only one demographic that wants to be out here chopping themselves up, and everybody else defends it because you'll probably lose your job talking about this shit.
On that one.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, look, is misandry toxic?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the hatred of men. Absolutely.
Misandry.
Or is it my turn? I mean, not talk. Is it my turn?
I never heard of the word. I'm sorry, misandry. What's that?
What? That should be your word, girl.
It's dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against men.
I love men. I told you that earlier. Remember about the whole football story? I love men. So I
Do
definitely.
you love men or do you like sexualizing men? Because y'all talked about my titties in the last show, so I just want to make sure.
I love objectifying men. I love the way they look. I love the way they smell. I love what a man brings. I love what a man offers. I love everything about a man. Not toxic masculinity, but I love men. I do with all my being.
You say you like objectifying men. That's wow.
Wow. That's liberation right there, Eddie.
Goddamn liberation.
Shit like that. Shit like that. Shit like that. Shit like that.
Damn. Okay.
That's your truth, Asia. Go ahead.
And I stand in it at all times.
I don't know, Asia. Look, they in the chat. They giving their opinion. I can't tell. Man. Okay, so toxic femininity is a thing, so is it safe to say that it manifests differently in different places?
I don't think so.
Go ahead, Q. What do you mean?
I think there's femininity, masculinity, and toxic, which is why I made the point that I did earlier. I think these things are made up, and I think once we start conforming to these concepts, it creates all of this chaos in our society, right? It's like somebody just spoon feeding us some shit. So now we've created these terms. Oh, there's toxic masculinity, there's toxic femininity, and then we start to get into the LGBTQ type shit, all in that, and then we get into some other shit, and then we're more feminizing boys because men should have a platform to feel safe and not want to commit suicide, and that's under the premise that toxic masculinity creates this model for what a man should be, when it's like for years niggas been like, I think the ladies could get mad at me for this, but it's like, to Eddie's word, accountable. I think if you're making men accountable, that now has become the term for toxic masculinity. It's like, so he's just too soft to handle the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. Like, I disagree. I don't think that those words actually exist, but the more that we accept it, then we just create more chaos within our communities, within our society.
Okay. I'm gonna ask some yes or no questions. All right. I just want to see if we get some type of clarity. Is it toxic for a man not to cry if he gets physically hurt? We'll start with Alex and we'll go around. So we'll go from Alex and end with B. Yes or no? You're on mute. Is it toxic for men to tell men they should not cry from physical hurt, like stubbing a toe or breaking a finger?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Asia? Come on.
Yes.
Sis, what do y'all?
Yes.
Come on,
Yeah,
Eddie.
yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Is it toxic?
Wow.
Is it toxic for a woman to refuse to pay on the first date?
Oh, I can guess.
And
That's
you're not up. You're not. See, come on, man. Y'all
Oh.
niggas. I can't get niggas to unmute. All right, Alex, go.
No.
No.
To refuse to pay?
Oh, then yes.
Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Sis, what?
B got me distracted. I didn't even hear the question right. I didn't hear it.
You didn't, bro. Is it toxic for a woman to refuse to pay on the first date?
No.
Eddie, what the fuck?
My fault. What was the question? My fault, bro.
Come on.
Ooh. Now let's have
killing
it be
me,
one of
man.
us.
Come on.
Asia, relax. God damn,
Nah,
Miss Sanders.
And what do you mean, Age? I just cut B off. See.
Jeez.
Is it toxic for a woman to refuse to pay on the first date?
Yes.
Chris.
No.
No.
yes. 100 motherfucking percent. You
Okay.
got Gucci bills due
Now I paired those two up because they feel the same to me. Like, because you guys are saying if I break my finger, I'm telling a boy or a man he shouldn't cry, but that's pretty superficial. And so in terms of a date, you just refusing to pay, and you're saying no, that's not toxic. Why? These are social constructs. We don't cry if we get hurt, and you guys don't expect to pay if it's a first date. If one is toxic, why not the other?
I think they're two different scenarios, though. I don't think in the first one.
It's the same.
Too many people talking. All right,
you shouldn't tell anyone how to react to being hurt, man or female. Like, if they're gonna cry, they're gonna cry. If they're not, they're not. And then as far as the dinner thing is concerned, like, that's up to whatever they're doing. Like, as a woman, like, I will pay on the first date, but it depends on, does he reach for his wallet first? I might be the person to be like, I'm gonna let you know that I'm capable.
I said, come on now. See, here's the thing. You guys know that these are the constructs in which we live in. And I said refuse on purpose. So if she simply refuses just based off sheer expectation, you're saying that's not toxic. Okay, fine. I understand if that's what you're saying.
So that is.
Well, hold on, Asia. I got Chris, and then Miss Watson, and then I got you because I just looking at who tried to speak first.
I said that it was toxic because I don't think that.
Oh, you said yes.
I said yes.
My bad.
That's why I said I think both scenarios are different because I said
or the same, right?
No, I don't. Because then I said that I think that however you display emotion when you get hurt is however you do it. But as far as a woman expecting a man to pay on a date, I'm just like, I'm going to come to the table expecting to carry my half and I'm going to see how it goes. Like, I'm not expecting him to pay for anything if I show up to a date.
Okay. And that's from a woman's perspective, which is probably differs a little bit from most women. Go ahead, babe. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think stubbing a toe and breaking a finger is two different things. If you're stubbing a toe, I do think, boy, suck it up. But if you're breaking something, I don't think you can dictate how someone is going to react about how they're breaking something. But when it comes to paying, we're talking about standing our femininity and things of that nature. When it comes to dating and things like that, we shouldn't have to pay. I think it's normal for us not to pay if we're standing our femininity and if you want gender roles. I mean, if we don't want gender roles, then yes, it is toxic. We should make sure we both have an equal opportunity to pay. But if we're going back to not doing equal opportunity, we're going to just standing in our femininity, then I think we need to go back to chivalry and making sure that the guy pays.
All right, good. So then you're saying that it's fine. Boys don't cry. If we're going back, we got to go all the way back. We can't just go back for women and not men, right?
Well, I don't think, no, not necessarily. Just because you do for one doesn't mean you have to do for the other.
Hey, Eddie, the scale is tipped. So you're saying only do it for one side. So the only people going back in time is men in terms of how they treat women.
Well, that's the way the dating world works at this particular point.
Bruh. Yo, it is wild, son. Within the same episode, we started off with feminism and equality, and now it's y'all niggas got to pay for the date if you want it to be that way.
Yeah.
And then y'all expect us to believe that y'all think it's gonna be okay for us to cry? Like, I don't know. It's a little bit mixy. Go
It's
ahead, Adrian.
disingenuous. It's like, come on, man. Like,
oh, let me get Adrian, and then B.
So I refuse. I said the word refuse. I didn't like that word. Right. That's what messed me up and said, absolutely, that's toxic, because you're trying to control the situation and you're exerting yourself on that man's pockets. I just didn't like. I don't like that. Refusing to pay on the first date. Heck yeah, it's toxic femininity.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I don't think, and you trying to tell someone what to do with their body, that's toxic as well. So I was yes for both, because you sitting there saying another man, don't you do what you feel you want to do? Who are you to oppress him and tell him what to do? The female, who are you to oppress this man's pockets and tell him what you're not going to do?
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't want to, you should have said that before you went out. I think that should be established, but refusing, don't do that.
Well, yeah, my son won't be crying for no broken finger. B, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's toxic if a woman, if she refuses to pay. Absolutely. Yes, that's toxic. Absolutely. And can I just say this, okay? Women, and because I was talking to a lady at work about this yesterday, and I was also talking to another lady about a whole bunch of other stuff. At the end of the day, if you are not feeling a man the same way he's feeling you, don't go out on the date. Refuse the date. And I hate so much when women say, but he offered. No. He offered, and I told him, no. So in that case, you're taking what's called the low integrity road. It's just like you're going to an interview. You're going to tell the interviewer just enough just to get by. You told that man enough just to get by, but you still accepted that offer. You're just as guilty. Cut the man off. Go cold turkey and leave him alone. But if you're not feeling the man the same way, don't go out. Block his number. Block him on Facebook. You see, what society has said is this to you women, that whenever a man and a woman are in an imbalanced power situation and a man uses his powers to deceive a woman, if a man was to do that, he's called a dog. He's called a snake. He is called every single thing in the Bible that is bad and
you are.
All right? But when a woman does it, it's, oh, but I told him. Yeah, you may have told that man you didn't have any interest, but you knew that man was weak for you. You knew that every single time he picked that you called, he was going to pick up, and you took advantage of that. You women got coochie bills due out there.
So wait, why is the man still talking? He's not interested. Take accountability.
No, mute her mic, goddammit, I'm talking. You shut.
Watch yourself, B.
I hold on now, but you interrupted me now. Don't interrupt me.
Yeah,
I'm talking. You're being rude. You see, you're being very masculine. Okay.
No, I'm creating boundaries. Watch yourself.
No. Okay, but I'm talking and you're interrupting. See, that's being very rude. Because when you spoke, I didn't interrupt you. So I'd appreciate if you would let me finish. I was going to land by saying before you rudely interrupted me. All right. Q, I need a shirt. It's going to be, do you owe coochie credit? That's going to be my shirt. Because a lot of women got coochie bills due out there. All right.
Okay. Is it toxic for a woman to expect a man to change a tire if they both in the car and she was driving?
How about?
God damn, man, I hate this panel. Dana?
No.
Asia?
No.
Sis?
No.
Eddie?
No, because I know how to change tires.
Chris? Chris? Chris
is checked out.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I was on mute.
Q?
Once again, no.
B?
No.
B?
No.
Is it toxic for a man to expect his wife to cook dinner?
Wow.
This is sick. Asia, go ahead.
Is it toxic to expect her to cook dinner? Yes. Yes.
Okay.
No, heck no. No.
No, man.
Yes.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
This is crazy to me. So the expectation, he's saying it's a blizzard. He's supposed to change that tire, but she's not supposed to cook dinner.
The 7-day-a-week thing, versus changing a tire may happen once every blue moon.
I didn't see, and I did it like that on purpose to hit you with that honey bun. See,
Shit like that. Shit like that.
I didn't even
shit
say
like
how
that,
many
shit like
days.
that, shit like
But you want one word answers. There's explanations behind these answers.
No, and see, Chris, maybe you were asleep the last time I asked you questions, but we went through it. We got some explanations. You gave one of the explanations. Come on, man.
Bruh.
But I didn't even say how many days.
But you know why it's not toxic camp for the women to expect the tire to be changed by the man? Because y'all been screaming since forever how strong y'all are. Get up and change that tire. You want to be so strong. You can't pick and choose you when you want to be stronger than women, right? So you have y'all always sit there and say how much stronger men are and how much physicality that you
thing. Sorry, and I'm like, you have to be strong for it.
You got to sit there and pump the jack with the tire. You got to pick up the tire, move the tire back and
How
forth.
you do it? Can you show me that again? How you pump it?
No.
I mean, what happened to the feminine energy that y'all wanted? Y'all really want your girls standing outside pumping that jack up while you sitting in the car?
That's not the point. That's not the point he's making.
I didn't even ask that. I see y'all doing all that. I'm just saying, if I can change the tire, right, and that's not toxic for her to expect that. It's toxic for me to expect her to cook.
We both got to eat, right? Why do I have to cook?
We both got to get home. See, you weren't listening. See, that's the problem. What did I say? I said we both in the car. She was driving. Like I put all that in place.
I agree with Ham on this one. I don't think it's toxic for a man to expect his lady to cook, but I don't think it's toxic for a woman to expect her man to change the tire. It just goes back into, what I feel are gender roles, what makes sense for me and what I would want in my relationship. And I have certain expectations of you, so I don't mind that you have certain expectations of me. Now, granted, that's not always going to be the case 100% of the time. And, there are variances to that, but speaking very broadly, very generally, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Q, you about to say something? I think you were.
I don't think none of this shit is toxic. I think because I didn't even take the word refuse the way that Asia did until she broke it out like that, as far as the dinner thing. But because the way I took it is like, oh, she's just not paying. So I'm like, didn't Eddie say that, that's a feminine trait for a woman to let him take on the bill?
Yes, he did.
So it's like, okay.
I didn't say that. I said I will pay the bill.
But let me land. In conjunction with Hamp's point about the finger thing, saying ow, expressing that you got hurt is completely different from sitting there crying. And I seen a video recently where this guy showed like 3 generations of like men, I guess you could say. And it was like, it started in like the 1980s. I don't know if you guys seen this, where he bumped into the wall and he kind of just had a slight reaction. Then he comes
Boomers, millennials, and Gen X.
Yeah, 1990. Then he bumps into the wall again, and his reaction is way bigger. And then 2000, he bumps into the wall, and he's crying at that point. It's like, it's nothing new. You know what I'm saying? So to me, none of this shit is toxic at all.
But I also don't think it makes sense to compare like physical injury to it's like comparing apples and t-shirts to me. It's like, it's so far left field. One has nothing to do with the other.
One is a natural reaction.
Right. One is a natural. Sorry, go ahead, Q.
Yeah, it does in the sense of expectation and the definition of toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. The way that all everybody's been talking about this shit the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So a man telling a man not to cry is considered toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
And Dana, also for men, it's not like far for us. Like imagine at the football games, like Asia was saying, all these big strong Adonises, and then one of them breaks her fingers. Like, if you say you're not gonna judge it, I say
Put him in the fucking bedroom. Get him out of here. Come on.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
I watch football all the time, and when injuries, egregious enough injuries, they put the towel over their face. They don't want the toxic masculine teammates to say anything to them, but they do. They're in pain.
No.
They have, you know what I'm saying? Okay, never mind.
You're 100% wrong. I'm speaking for all football players. Those are not pain tears.
What are they?
JJ, so opportunity. So for instance, remember when Dak broke his ankle? Right? Remember that he signed that franchise tag and he didn't want to sign it because there's no longevity in franchise tag. So when he broke his ankle, if you read his lips, he's saying, "I told you so. I knew this was going to happen." Da da da. That's different. That's emotional. I'm not saying men shouldn't cry from that, but physical pain. JJ Watt broke his whole back and had to climb in the ambulance himself, and he was wincing like Q was saying that in third, but he sure as hell wasn't crying.
But you
But
know,
men aren't immune to
cry,
physical
oxytocin
pain.
is released, and it's
He cried in the car. He cried in the car. He didn't cry in front of
Cried in
y'all.
the car in the ambulance.
Listen. I'm just telling you what you don't know that you wasn't there.
But do you know that oxytocin is released when you cry? And
Blah blah blah.
No, not blah blah blah. It is biologically
Taught that shit.
biological thing, and you cry, it releases that hormone so that you feel a little bit better. We are supposed to cry. There's a difference between something is natural, my natural physical reaction. Like someone hits you, your natural reaction is going to be hit them.
Oh my god!
back.
What are you talking about, bro? How many times you been punched in the face?
Him. No, you're not gonna do that because the difference.
No, let's do it. You talking about when somebody hits you?
Because the difference is if you let me land, as Q likes to say, and let me finish, and we're not gonna interrupt here, right? The difference between someone naturally crying because they were physically hurt is very different than someone being conditioned, right? And I was raised and I was brought up that a man is supposed to go ahead and is supposed to pay for the meal. That is a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior. You can call it slow all you want. It's the fact. You cannot put them together, and it's gonna appear slow when Hamp is constantly interrupting. It's gonna appear like that, and that's why things go over people's head because things are happening so fast. Take your time.
Hey, look, man. Listen. That I took AP chemistry.
Hamp,
Crying.
I'm a bio major. I know what I'm talking about.
Crying don't do shit for you, man. Trust me. Right, B? Let me ask B, somebody with some sense. Right, B?
Oh, Lord.
Crying doesn't do nothing.
Yeah.
That's why y'all walking around so bent up and angered all the time because y'all don't cry enough.
I said physical pain, though. That's the key.
Alex, listen to this. If we start adopting those concepts, let's say we adopted those concepts very early on, there would be no Michael Jordan.
Cute.
Like if you watch The Last Dance, there would be no Michael Jordan. If it's like it's okay to cry, because then you get to over like, oh, you hurt your finger, you did this, you did that. There was one video going around where Kobe fucking broke his finger in the middle of the game, went over to the side, and coach broke the shit back in, and he just went back in the game. Like that, he didn't cry about that shit.
But do you think that's natural?
Yes.
That's not natural that you're not crying.
But why was he? If you got
break it, he dislocated it, he popped it back into place. They do that all the time.
You're saying he denied
that was something that had
natural
to be over time suppressed. If we're
That's
talking
not
about what he was doing with his
But
child,
that's not
right?
emotional though, Alex.
Right, and that's what I'm saying to you. So physically, right? Just naturally, like if someone punches me in my face, I may not cry immediately, but I'm gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, like what happened?" Like, and
I'm
if
not finna cry. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm not finna cry if somebody punch me in my face.
I am. Shit.
No, fuck that.
I feel like telling somebody. Go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, you may not hit me immediately, but once that adrenaline wears down, I'm going to cry because my face fucking hurt because you hit me in my face. Yes.
You look at the bruises and you be like, okay, that was a fair one. Like, y'all cry over that shit?
I've never been hit in the face because I can't
Hold on.
fight.
But
I've been hit in the face before. I never cried.
All right. Listen, I got a question. Alex, soft as shit. God damn. Alex won't kill nothing, let nothing die, boy. So be clear. In the house, the man still goes downstairs if somebody breaks in.
He shouldn't.
Y'all derailed the entire episode, son. Y'all don't even listen to your own bullshit. That's crazy, son.
Dana, is that true still?
Yeah.
Asia, is that still true?
I got a gun, and I'm down for it. We going together. You look out, and I'm gonna shoot. Like that's just in me. We doing it together.
But if you had a man, though, okay, you know how to manage a gun. If you had a man and a nigga trying to get in the crib, are you going downstairs or your man?
Nah, nigga, take this gun. Go downstairs.
So Asia, you saying? Hold on. Let her. So you saying that you going downstairs too?
He gonna go in front of me, but I'm gonna be behind him because I'm the backup. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like he gonna go in front, but I'm gonna be right behind him. Like I got you. We got
Nah,
this.
that's toxic femininity. Keep your ass in the room.
Sis, same question.
Nobody's going downstairs.
So y'all just want to die.
Now. Here's where she got to answer the question, right? But Donnie's room is downstairs.
Well,
as a mom, I know, but if you want somebody to be successful, are you going? Is he going? Or y'all going together?
I gotta obviously deal with the threat. It's just me. I gotta deal with it.
I know.
What?
Bruh.
You want answers. The truth.
If you got a nigga in there.
Oh.
My panel sucks.
Everybody's sleepy.
It's late here.
All right, I'm about to let y'all go. What says? Answer the question.
If there's a nigga in here, he gotta deal with the threat. Yeah.
Okay.
What happened
Chef
to equality?
Chef Eddie, go.
I'm just laughing at the destruction of y'all arguments throughout this whole thing. Like equality went right out the fucking window.
No, not go on a filibuster. Go on answering the question. Are you going downstairs or is she going?
I'm going downstairs.
All right.
Immediately.
Eddie's sick of y'all shit, man. Hey, Chris, who going? This nigga don't know how to unmute or nothing. Like, I'm so confused.
Sorry, I can't unmute myself. But I agree with Asia. He's going first, but I'm gonna be right there. Like, he explicitly tells me to stay behind or I got kids.
Okay. Q.
What happened?
Q.
Yeah. No. in my situation, I'm going downstairs, but I've done that before. For little creaks and shit like that. It's easy. It's not like a thought. But it goes back to hierarchy. So go to somebody else. I've been consistent this whole show.
Yeah, you've been consistent. Babe.
My ass is staying in the room unless it has to do with the kids.
Yeah. B.
The man has to go 100% of the time.
Alex.
I already told you I believe in gender roles, so Kuma's going first. However, I'm not going to be far behind him.
Yes, you are.
Why?
All right, I got another question. I don't even want no breakdown from that. Y'all getting on my nerves. All right. There's a task ahead of you. You don't know what the task is. It could be mental or it could be physical. Right? You have an average man. So what is that? 5'9", 180 pounds or so. You know, decent athleticism. An average woman, 5'5", 140 pounds, I think. Well, you guys know whatever the average is. Decent athleticism, right? They both have the advantages that they're born with, right? So men have whatever density and muscle mass they have. The woman has whatever flexibility she has, right? So these are average people. So you don't know what the task is ahead of you. It could be mental, it could be physical. Are you bringing a man or are you bringing a woman? Dana.
I don't know what the task is. I don't know. The woman.
Okay.
Woman, like I said the last time we had this conversation.
Okay.
I'll probably bring the man.
Eddie.
If I want it done officially, I'm bringing them brother.
Yeah, they're both black. If that matters.
It does matter.
Chris.
A man.
Q.
Definitely bringing the man.
Babe.
Man.
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 Okay. Age. No, I know you already answered it. Dana, why are you bringing the woman? Now remember, it could be physical or mental task.
My first thought goes to like, and this is probably stupid, but it goes to like a game show where there are puzzles involved and there's walls to climb, where it's not necessarily physically demanding where I have to lift and move things, but I can, if you have cat-like reflexes and you can climb a wall and you can do the mile run and you can solve the puzzles, I feel like women are just as qualified, if not better, at navigating those sorts of situations. But that's where my mind immediately went without having any real context.
Kim, can I say something real quick? I remember we had this conversation before months ago, right? And I said, woman, I got roasted. I got grilled. I got roasted, fricasseed, right? On this panel. And I love the fact that your homeboys had the same exact question a week or so ago. And they sat there and said they would bring their woman before they brought another man to the situation, the same exact question. And for the same exact reason that they said they would bring their woman or a woman, is from what I said and what Dana just said. You don't know, but they said their girl's smart and they believe that she would outwit.
I asked the question last week.
Yes, you did. And please bring the tape back. I was there. I'm not there, but
Yeah,
I was all
I
in the
gotta
comments.
look at it.
Two of them said woman. One of them said a man.
Right.
Corey
Two
said
said
man.
woman. Exactly. Yep. Two said
One
woman.
said man. LaRon's. Oh.
Yeah, I remember.
Inside the locker room show.
Yep. I forget nothing.
But that was it. But that was a different panel, so you can't.
That wasn't the point. B. The point is his homeboys.
B said man and Corn said man.
Yeah, I said
no. Corn said woman, and so did LaRon.
But what I'm saying is that's a different panel from tonight.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I think and then who said man? Oh, Alex. Chris, you said man. Why?
Because it's a different perspective and it's a different set of strengths athletically. Since I don't know what we're walking into.
Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, LaRon will never be back on the show, so that's easy. But also, yeah. I mean, I think because women and men can be equally as intelligent, and so if it is a physical task, I will bring another brother with me so we can potentially conquer that task more easily. Just based off strength and athleticism. So that would make the most sense to me.
Nah, you said if we were on Survivor together, you would bring me.
No, I said I'd bring Charles.
No, you said you were gonna bring me.
Come on here, Chinese, with the facts.
No, she is not telling the truth. This nigga got baby brain or whatever that shit is called. Pregnancy brain or some shit, whatever it is. Yeah, no. I said I'll bring my little brother. For sure. Either one of them.
Or you could bring me.
B, you know how to throw stuff?
Throw? Yeah, I can throw.
You last on the list. I'd go before you.
Oh, damn.
Damn, man. That's something. Okay, so two of the ladies said they'd bring other, and everybody else made the right decision. All right, cool. I like it. Interesting, man. Oh man, this is a great show. A lot to consider. I don't know how successful we were in mining out some of this stuff, but it'll be a lot to unpack and edit. So, be prepared. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. I appreciate everybody still rocking with us. I hope everybody hit that subscribe button for sure. But if you don't feel like subscribing, but when you subscribe, you don't have to turn on the post notifications if you're worrying about the message that you get that you actually don't get. I actually hate when people be acting like they get so many messages, then you look, they have 6 unread text messages and it's from a group chat. You ain't that fucking popular. Turn on the post notifications and hit the like button. That helps the channel the most. Listen, I don't really like Jerry Springer, but I do I do like one of his constructs. sis, you good? Start breathing now, and then when I put you on, sis been holding her breath like a motherfucker. Hey, shout out to sis. Hey, sis.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
I don't know. Men are the cause for most women being single. I'm gonna stick to it. Eddie. I don't care, Eddie. That's just that. That's just that.
That's your final thought. That's it. All right. B.
So accountability, always be able to self-reflect and see what it is you could have done differently, and take a look to see what it is you've done wrong. And everyone needs a good brother like Hamp the Stampede Watson. Yes, his roots started in Connecticut. He's a good man, and I love him. And that's it. And y'all have a great night. Or morning, rather.
Q.
It's Thursday.
Sis, go ahead and breathe in the mic real quick for the people one last time. No, that y'all stupid. Shout out to B and Alex for rocking the gear tonight. I just want to say, stop adopting all these concepts of this, that, and the third, all these titles and bullshit like that. Live and walk in your truth. Stop letting society and all these people making up shit tell y'all how y'all should function.
Chris.
I have to agree with you. I think if we remove the constructs of what is masculine and feminine, we can better thrive in any relationship, and that's whether that be with a partner, or spouse, or a friendship.
All right, Dana.
Femininity is not to say that I want to be a man or I want to take a man's place or do what men do. It's to say I want to be respected, I want to be heard, I want to be considered. You consider my feminine energy, I consider your masculine energy, and we mesh and we work well and balance each other out because we need each other.
All right, Ms. Watson.
Well, first I want to say, Hamp, you are the best. B's up here bigging you up. Yeah, I'm married to you, so I need to say that better than he can. So he's the best.
Shit like that. Shit like that. Shit like that. Shit like that.
At DJ Hamp and Instagram. This might be risky, all that I don't know about, but in general, I think it's important for us feminine women to be able to be feminine and allow men to be men, but at the same time, for everyone to respect what we have to bring to the table.
Indeed. Asia.
First thing I want to say is feelings are subjective, period. Second thing I want to say is that we all need to take introspective looks within ourselves, because it's not always the other person that's the problem. And don't be like, I meet a bunch of bad people, whether it be men or women, and they're all the problem. What part do you play in that? And maybe you just got a messed up aura. Cleanse that ish out.
Chef Eddie.
If you let women talk long enough, you'll see the bullshit come out.
Oh man. Yeah, man. Like I said, a lot to unpack, a lot to discuss. I don't know. I still have to. The jury's out on what I think is toxic. I think what people deem toxic about men is not. What we uncovered about women's toxicity, there's a few different definitions, so I have to mine those out more. But yeah, the brother's not gonna be able to super duper articulate what femininity is or what he knows it looks like. But when he knows, and you'll be chosen. So take that into consideration. So like Asia said, you got to self-reflect after the relationship, after that date, after some time that you spent, and see what you could have done differently. And also understand what that person did that you didn't prefer. And then that's how you make real progress. You know what I mean? Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And we out.